with another live chat. Give me a second here. My cables are tied up. And actually this microphone, this headphones are plugged into the microphone. That's better. We're back for another live chat. I'm sorry I look a bit grungy today. As you can see, I haven't had a haircut in about 3 weeks. 3 months rather, 2 or 3 months. I'm sure we're all probably in the same boat at the moment, all stuck at home in the isolation. This is crazy. It's still crazy times. I just thought I'd jump on and do another spontaneous live chat to kind of cure those isolation blues that everyone seems to be having at the moment. Just want to make sure, can you all hear me? Can you all see me properly? I want to make sure that everything's going smoothly before we get into this. Get my camera angle all framed up properly and stuff there. Just let me know in the comments if you can hear me properly and all that stuff. It seems like everything is going okay. All right, so basically I did one of these probably last weekend, last Saturday evening for me. It was like 12 a.m. I stayed up until about 1 a.m. doing it. It went very well. A lot of people turned up it went very well. It was the best live chat I've ever done. So I thought, you know what, I'm going to do another one. And I thought I'd do it at a different time today. It kind of gives me an idea of what time's going to be best to do these in the future. I'd like to do more of these in the future. And I feel like this will give me a good idea of trying to gauge when's the best time to do them, or whether it's good to just keep rotating times, give people different chances to jump on, different audience at different hours, whatever. What I'd like you guys to do, if you're sending in questions or anything, let me know where you're from, because I'm keen to know where everyone's watching from and just kind of what times are good for what markets, all that kind of stuff there. So essentially what we're going to do today is we're going to do the same as what we did last time. If you were here last time, thanks for joining me, and thanks for joining me again. My hair, man. If you were not here on the last one, thank you for joining me today. A few people were asking why I'm using my old logo still on the live chats. Well, essentially I haven't done a live chat for about 6 months, other than last week, and the graphics I have for the live chat are still just from about 6 months ago. And the spontaneous nature of these last 2 chats really just means I haven't had a chance to update the logos yet, but I will soon when I get some time. I'm so busy with all my other little videos at the moment that it's hard to just remember to do little bits and pieces like that. So basically what I will do is I'll open up the chat. I can see you guys are all chatting away in there. I'm going to take questions and everything. As last time, if you want your question, if you want to be guaranteed that you want your question read, please send in a super chat. I don't like asking for money or anything like that, but if you do have a question that you really want answered, super chat is the way to go, because I will see all them, I'll read all them, as long as they're, within reason. If you're on there sending me like 50 cents to call me a dickhead, I might not read it. But if you've got a legitimate question you want me to answer or whatever, send in a super chat. Otherwise, I will be sticking with the chat. The nature of it is there's so many people in here that I'm not going to get to every question like I used to on these. So I'll just be scrolling through and picking out a few questions. I also like to ask, no spamming of the chat this time. I know I usually encourage it, but when I say spam your question, I usually mean like, if your question hasn't been answered after about 15 minutes, ask the question again. I don't mean, there were people in the last one that literally must have just asked the question, copied it, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter, paste, enter. I don't want that again, because that's very annoying, not only for the other people in the chat, but it's a bit annoying for me as well, trying to scroll through the chat and trying to find the next questions. So if you do have a question that you really want to ask, I haven't answered it after about 15 minutes, feel free to ask the question again, but just don't spam the feed. Don't spam the feed. Let's also not have any chat in here about the virus or any of that, because it brings the mood down, and we don't want to hear that. We just want to have a nice, fun time here to cure those isolation blues, get our mind off everything, because it's a crazy time, and we just want a bit of escapism, and that's what it's all about. That's what I'm here for. I've been smart, and I've got myself some water this time around. Last time I forgot the water, and I was getting a bit scratchy pretty quickly. So here we go. We're gonna do it. We're gonna open up the chat. I think that's all the housekeeping stuff out of the way. Please stick to them. Again, if you do really want a question answered, send in a super chat, and I will answer the question. We have got a super chat just come in from Sam Kearney, or I think that's how you pronounce the name. If that's not how you pronounce it, please correct me. There's no question or anything attached to that. I'm hoping that's not an issue on my end. If that's just a spontaneous, lovely donation, thank you very much. If it's not, please let me know in the chat, Sam, and hopefully I'll see it and I will answer your question. But I believe he's just sent in a lovely little donation. Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay, I'm gonna go into the Q&A now because I've spoken enough, and I tend to do this rambling a lot. Okay, so we're gonna go with one from Squid Wario. What are your thoughts about HBO Max, and which one do you think will be better, Disney Plus or HBO Max? I'm very excited for HBO Max. I don't know when we're going to get in Australia. I'm hearing all kinds of contradictory things about it at the moment. Essentially, they're saying they are going to bring it to Australia, and then you hear that it's not coming in straight away. It might be like a few months off, might be a year off. They're going to parcel out some of the HBO Max exclusives to like our cable network, Foxtel, or one of the streaming networks, Stan, or something like that. So I think we will get to see some of the HBO stuff. Overall, I think it sounds pretty good, and the kind of content that's coming to it looks awesome. Of course, I'm very excited about the Looney Tunes cartoons, which looks awesome. And off the top of my head, I can't really remember what else is coming to HBO Max exclusively, but it looks good. And is it going to be better than Disney Plus? Maybe. I don't know. I think Warner Brothers is throwing their whole might behind this thing. We've got the Friends reunion coming up too, which I'm kind of excited about. It's my favorite like sitcom of all time. But like a sit down live, I've been one who's been like not looking forward to any kind of. I don't want them to do like another episode of Friends. I don't think it'll work. That shows so much about like the moment in time between those characters. That just wouldn't work. But the reunion thing they're doing, like a chat, like reminiscing to them sitting around reminiscing. Sounds interesting. I'll watch it for sure. But yeah, I think it's going to be good. And Disney Plus has been a little underwhelming for me so far. Almost everything that's on there I already have on Blu-ray or DVD or whatever. And the exclusives are just so few and far between. It's a little bit of I feel a little underwhelmed, a little bit of a letdown. I don't know. We'll just have to see. Maybe the HBO Max thing will go the same way. Apple Plus has been pretty awful as well. I have that. I only have that because I bought a new phone, and they gave me the free year trial. But anyway, we'll see how that goes. We've got another super chat come in, and I believe the super chat are working now. This has come from Callum Wilding. G'day, Callum. How you doing? He's a good mate of mine, Callum. He asks, how did you feel when Ricky Gervais retweeted you? Felt bloody awesome. For those out there who don't know, I did a review for Ricky Gervais' new series, Afterlife Season 2, for Netflix. I did a review on my channel, and he not only retweeted my tweet, but he actually composed like his own tweet and posted a link to my review, and just basically said like non-spoiler 5-star review for Afterlife Season 2, and then posted my review, which is crazy. It's awesome. One of the big goals for me on this channel, or just in my career, whatever, has been to get some kind of official recognition for my reviews. The one thing I would love, and I know I'm like so far away from this ever being any kind of possibility, but I'd love to like have one of my little quotes from a review on a DVD cover or on a poster or something. I know I'm years away from that, if ever. But something like this, like Ricky Gervais retweeting this out, it's awesome, man. And especially someone who I admire so much, whose work I love so much. I mean, I've watched all this guy's series multiple times, all these movies. I've seen him do stand-up live twice. I love the guy. And just to have someone whose work I admire so much actually, acknowledge my review of his thing. Awesome. Absolutely awesome. I loved it. The guy's a legend, man. Thanks for setting that in, Callum. I really appreciate that. Thank you very much. Okay, we're going to go back to the chat here and try and scroll down. Try and find some questions in here. Once again, let me know in the comments where you're from, because I'm quite curious to know where people are coming from, where people are watching from. Okay, Mason the Storyteller asks, "Hello Dave, I've been a massive fan on your channel for a long time, and this is my question. What are your tips for people who want to become a big YouTuber? P.S. Keep up the good work." Well, I'm not sure I'm a huge authority on how to be a big YouTuber. I'm still grinding away, trying to get there. But with the, I guess, sort of mild success that I've had so far, the tips that I give everyone is that there's four key things that I like to hit on when I make a video, and that's relevancy, urgency, consistency, and regularity. So essentially, you need to be making stuff that is relevant. So stuff that people are, the thing that I always say is make stuff that people are searching for, not stuff people might just stumble across. Because the stuff that people are searching for is the stuff that's going to get the hits. It's the stuff that's going to get the I guess the community is going to jump on and be active with, commenting, all that kind of stuff. Stuff that people want to join in the conversation on, not necessarily stuff that people might just stumble upon randomly on a search or something. You want to be hitting things that are topical. Especially when you're first starting. I mean, a lot of the really big YouTubers can just make videos on whatever they want and people will watch it. But for someone who's grinding away and trying to build that base, you need to be making stuff that people are searching for, or stuff that might get recommended from other videos, something that's topical, because that's the way to get your stuff out there and to get people involved and communicating around it. Urgency is just about getting stuff out there. Like right away. No, there's no time to wait. There's no time like right now to make something and just put it out there. You need to have this sense of urgency with your videos. And you need to make sure they are topic. That one example I use all the time is I might go and see a movie preview before the movie opens. I get invited to a lot of preview screenings to see movies that haven't opened yet. So for an example, Avengers Infinity War, I got to see a day before it opened in Australia, which was essentially like 2 or 3 days before it opened in America. And I came home, the movie probably finished probably 9 o'clock. I was home probably 10, and I just grinded away at pumping out some content until probably about 5 a.m. and just got that content out there as quickly as possible. And on the back of that, that was like my first 1 million view video, and some other videos I did on the back of that, a couple of 100,000. That was the first like really, really big videos I had. So it's all about just getting in there before everyone else. Be urgent about it. Consistency and regularity. That's just what it means. Be consistent, be regular with the content that you upload. Let your community know that you are on a regular schedule, you are regularly uploading things, and that there is stuff there that the people can keep coming back to, as opposed to uploading something like once every couple of months, just randomly. Have some kind of consistency to what you upload. But that's one video a week, or a video a day, or a video a month. Just make sure there's that regularity, that consistency. Sam Kearney asks on the super chat, it's actually just popped through now, so he did ask a question on the super chat. He asks, what are your thoughts on the Studio Ghibli movies, or Studio Ghibli movies? I actually haven't watched all that many of them. I have seen, I think, Howl's Moving Castle. I believe I've seen Spirited Away, and I've seen Grave of the Fireflies, but not for a very long time. I was probably back in high school when I watched them. I really, really loved them, and I just haven't gotten around to watching any of the other ones. I remember very little of them as well, because I don't know, because it's just so long ago. But I remember really enjoying them, and I think we watched them I remember watching them in like media class, and we just kind of watched them over like 2 or 3 different lessons. And that's not a good way to watch a movie. There's so many movies that I've only just watched in school that I need to go back and revisit. So I do need to revisit them. They're all on Netflix at the moment. I think they're dropping like 4 or 5 of them a month. I'm waiting for all the movies to go on there so that I can watch them all like in chronological order, and then I'll probably do like a ranking video or something, because I'd really love to talk about them. I'd really love to watch them all. I've never bought them because they're always so expensive, like $40 or $50 for a single film, and that's far too much. So I just have never got around to watching them all. But thanks again for sending in that super chat, Sam. Much appreciated. Let's go back to the chat up here now. My nose is really itchy this morning. Just one of those morning things, you know. We've got people in here from Germany. We've got people from Ireland. I have not been to Germany, but I would love to go to Germany. I have been to Ireland, which I absolutely loved. Beautiful. People from New Zealand. Our friends across the pond in New Zealand. We've got someone from Pennsylvania in here, from the States. Haven't been to Pennsylvania, one of few states I haven't been to. We've got people in here from Melbourne, of course. The Aussies are in the chat, which is beautiful. We've got heaps of people from the USA, England. Of course, you know, my second home, England. I love it. Someone in here from Texas. Awesome. Finland, Portugal. We've got people from all over the world, which is absolutely awesome. Jeff B asks, hey Dave, here from Florida. Awesome. I have been to Florida. Lovely, lovely, lovely state. Can I ask what kind of camera and setup you use for your videos? I'm thinking of starting my own channel. I'm just using like a little... I don't know if it's here. No, it's in one of the other rooms. I am using a little Canon G5, whatever it's called. Like one of those little Canon camera things. Little point and shoot thing. That's all I need. It's the stuff that I do. Right now I'm using a webcam on the iMac, and this looks like perfectly fine. But I just usually use like the little point and shoot Canon thing, the G7X I'm using at the moment, and that's all I need. If I'm doing like little vloggy things or whatever, which is not that regularly on my channel, I just use the little point and shoot thing. And that's all you need. I mean, to make decent videos, you don't need, you know, the best quality anything. I used to use like one of the big Canon, like one of the big Canon things. And it was always just so heavy and just a pain in the ass. Here's old mate Rick has come in. Little cameo from old mate Rick. This is what I'm using. One of these little Canon G7Xs. Really simple. Like, this is all you need to vlog. You got a little camera that comes out here, so if you're doing a little, hey guys, how you doing, sort of thing, this is all you need. Or, if you don't, you know, have the money to be picking up one of them, use your phone. Simple as that. That's all you need. You don't need, like, all this big bulky gear. Like I said, I was using these big cameras for a while, and it's just a pain. A real pain to carry it around, especially when I was like overseas, doing overseas vlogs and stuff. It's just carrying it around, getting it through airports, and just all that. All you need is a little point and shoot, a phone or a little camera. That's all you need. And then make sure you've got good audio, and people will watch. That's it. That's it. Just keep it simple, guys. Keep it simple. Okay, we're going back to the thing here. Marie Watkins says, can you change your new logo to your old logo back, please? I know a lot of people do still love the old logo, but unfortunately, I've had to get rid of it. I've gone to the new logo, which is the live one. It's just about brand growth and just doing little things here and there to just try and grow the brand and just try and make it more appealing to more people, and just keep things fresh. So I will be sticking with my new logo for now. But I do appreciate that you love it. I still love the old logo, but I needed a change. I needed a little bit of growth here on the channel. So thanks for sending that question in, though. Angus Land says, do you live in Australia? I do live in Australia. I've kind of been living between Australia and the UK for the last few years. I just spent almost 2 years over in the UK between 2018 and like late last year. I'm a dual citizen. And I've just been spending a bit of time between both countries. But right now I am in Australia, in my original home country of Australia, with all my stuff. So yes, I'm in Australia right now. Kurt Bruning asks, can we see the cartoon evolution calendar? No, you cannot. That is safely kept within this little book right here, and nobody can see it but me. We've got the Betty Boop cartoon evolution coming up the 5th of next month, so only a couple of weeks' time. and I'm a bit far behind on editing that one, I think. So I need to, after this chat, I'll be on here for a couple of hours. After this chat, I have to finish, well, not finish editing. That'd be nice if I could finish it in a day. I got to do some editing on that today. So yeah, but the next one, I think everyone's gonna really like it. I'll give you some hints. This is what happens when I get on here. I start revealing things too early. So, but I will give you a little hint. I will give you a little hint. The next one is not going to be a Looney Tunes character, and it's not going to be like a vintage character. It's going to be something very exciting. I'm excited. It's going to be another one that's going to take me ages to do as well, which is a bit daunting. But yeah, you can't see the calendar. It's constantly changing anyway, this thing, my calendar in there. I keep stopping and changing, but I do have I do know what ones I'm going to be doing for the rest of the year. But you cannot see it. Connor May asks, you said in your recent Blu-ray video about making slipcovers yourself. Could you explain how you do that? Really, I make up covers on Photoshop. Whether I get like the artwork and make my own cover, or maybe sometimes people just actually post the actual covers. I have like a template that I use, and I print it off on like high quality photo paper, like thick photo paper, and then I just cut it up and make a slipcover out of it, essentially. We've got a question coming in from Jacoby, my friend. He says, I see you as a god. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. I feel like a bit of a deity. Not really, but thank you. I appreciate that. Fandom Motion Studios asks, what's your favorite movie? I have, if you're confused, I'm looking over here. I have a couple of screens. It helps. It makes it easier for me to kind of check the chat and everything. What is my favorite movie? I have multiple favorite movies. The Wizard of Oz is like my number one favorite film of all time. Very closely followed by the original Star Wars. And yeah, they're probably like my two like top like number one favorite movies ever. And then you got stuff like the Blues Brothers and Back to the Future and Indiana Jones and Pulp Fiction, Casablanca, all those kind of movies. They're like my big favorites, ones I grew up with and everything like that. Marie Watkins asks, what is your favorite cartoon character? It's got to be Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny. They're the two big ones. I just love them. And it seems like a generic answer, but they probably are. Other than that, Homer Simpson, probably. So yeah. Ice Cream Hero asks, do you watch anime? No, not really. It's just never anything I've gotten into. The closest I've ever got to watching anime was like Dragon Ball Z and Pokemon, which I used to watch as a kid, but these days I don't. And it's so expensive again to buy anime. Like the movie's like $40 or $50 each here, or like, you buy a series for like $100 or something. It's just crazy money for anime. It's just never anything I've gotten into. There's just so many other things that I do watch, and it's hard, but I would like to start watching some. I especially like to, again, the Studio Ghibli films. I really want to watch Perfect Blue. That film Perfect Blue, apparently fantastic. I'd like to get my hands on that. I wound up with a bit of ice. It's a bit annoying. Let me just crunch it away. What else we got on here? We have got Crazy Minecraft Gamer asks, can I be a moderator to help the chat? I appreciate the offer, but I'm doing okay right now, and I do actually have old mate Rick in the other room moderating as well. So thank you for the offer. I appreciate it, but I'm all set right now. We have got another live chat, which has come in from FauxFurlus. Hey Dave, keep up the great videos. I'm a big fan of your channel. What are your thoughts on the Star Wars sequels 4 months after The Rise of Skywalker? Thank you for your question, and thank you for your super chat. I really appreciate it. My thoughts on the Star Wars sequels have kind of shifted, altered over time. I loved The Force Awakens. I loved it. I thought it was a really great way to start the franchise, the new sequels. I loved The Last Jedi. Loved it. I didn't really care for The Rise of Skywalker all that much. And I think what it comes down to for me is that it's such a messy sequel trilogy. It's a really messy trilogy of films. And as much as I love The Last Jedi, adore the film. Maybe it was like a misstep to not have all the filmmakers on the same page. And the thing that I found with The Rise of Skywalker was they tried to backtrack on all the things that that Rian Johnson did, so you could tell that J.J. Abrams didn't like. Of course, J.J. Abrams did The Force Awakens, and then Rian Johnson came in and did a bunch of stuff J.J. Abrams obviously didn't like, and then backtracked on it in The Rise of Skywalker instead of trying to like organically make it work. And what I kind of feel is that like if you want that much control over the films and over the stories, do them all yourself. Like, I just don't understand. Like, I'm sure JJ was offered the entire trilogy. Like, do all 3 films. I know it's a huge thing to ask someone to, you know, take 10 years out of their life to do a full trilogy. But I feel like it would have been better than him having to then jump back into the director's chair and try and course correct. And I think it was just so messy, and there were so many chefs in the kitchen that it was never going to work, you know, seamlessly, organically. So there's two lanes of thought that I have, and one is have one person or one creative team controlling the films, like over at Marvel. You can have different directors, different writers jump in. I mean, the original Star Wars trilogy was like that. But have this one core creative, whether it's one guy or a group of people, making sure, you know, they had the story group at Lucasfilm. And the story group obviously didn't do a great job. I don't know. Because there's so many people who just talking over each other and trying to do their own thing. And again, I feel like it's either just have that one creative group or have one guy control the whole 3 films. One guy directing, one guy writing, and because this is, again, it's too many chefs in the kitchen and too many people just trying to do their own thing and then course correct over the things that it's so messy. It's such a messy trilogy, but individually, I love The Force Awakens. I love The Last Jedi. Not a huge fan of The Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker could have been so much better. And if they just like ridden with it, instead of trying to course correct and trying to appeal to all the different groups within the fandom, it would have been good. Just do something organically instead of like all this, you know. I love the films, but I think it's such a messy, messy trilogy. Such a messy trilogy. Thank you so much for the live chat. The super chat. I'm going to go back in here to the chat here. Try and find some questions. We have got heaps of people telling me where they're from still in here, which is absolutely awesome. Heaps of people from the USA, which is good because this is like a good time to capitalize on the US market, that tells me, to jump on for all you lovely people over in the US. Jimmy Hebe, I believe that's pronounced. He's curious to ask, do you think Betty Boop could be successfully updated for modern audiences? I believe, I will touch on this in the Betty Boop video, but I believe it is a character that could be relevant again, with a few little tweaks. I think she's one of the characters that could absolutely be saved from this cartoon purgatory, as I like to call it. I think it is a character that can spawn, can thrive across various generations, but it does need a few tweaks. I think it would work. I think it would. And there's such like a retro. People love the vintage stuff, the retro stuff. I think there would be a really great way for them to bring her into the modern era. But again, I will touch on it very briefly in the Betty Boop video. Red Leader 501 asks, will you make more Star Wars action figure videos? Probably not. They don't do very well for me here on the channel. I also don't really like making Star Wars content that much anymore. I just don't really find it that fun. I will occasionally, of course, but I find it hard work to just talk about Star Wars anymore. It's not that much fun anymore. We've got a super chat come in from Lowell Lucas Jr. He asks, have you considered reviewing Rankin Bass The Hobbit? Thank you so much for sending in your question. I hope I pronounced your name correctly this time. You corrected me on it last time. I pronounced it Lowell, and I believe it's Lowell. I think. Correct me if that's wrong, and if it's wrong, I'll get it right again the next time. But thank you for the super chat there. Here I say, have you considered reviewing Rankin Bass The Hobbit? I have considered it, and I believe someone brought this up last time. May have been you. I'm not sure. Unless this is the same super chat from last time coming back through. It might be, strangely. But anyway, yes, I will talk about the Rankin Bass Hobbit at some point, I believe, because I'd like to, I gotta try and track it down. I've seen it a long time ago. A very long time ago. I would like to watch it again. I'd like to start again, if you saw my recent Blu-ray haul, my animation Blu-ray haul, I bought all these animated films from like non-Disney studios, Don Bluth stuff and all that. I'd really love to just jump back into all them and watch them all properly and do ranking videos and stuff, which is what I really enjoy doing. Amazing Alex asks, Dave, from where do you import your 3D Blu-rays? I live in the US and import mine from Amazon UK, but I don't know if I'll be able to get on with 3D because Amazon UK isn't shipping internationally. This is very, very interesting because they stopped shipping to Australia ages ago. And it's interesting. I've heard a couple of people saying that they're not shipping even to the US anymore, which is crazy. But I believe it might have something to do with the pandemic. They kind of, pardon me, they're looking after their own people, making sure essentials are getting out. So I'm not sure if after all of this they'll open the gates back up to the rest of the world. I don't know. But my 3D Blu-rays I've had to resort importing from Zavvi, because that's really the only place now that I can import UK discs, unless I send it over, to people I know over in the UK and have them send it over to me. But then that's getting too many people involved and gets too expensive. But yeah, Zavvi is the way to go. The UK always do like these multi-buy deals, which is like two 3Ds for £30, two Blu-rays for two 3Ds for £30 or two Blu-rays for 15, something like that. And they do it like 2 or 3 times a year. So what I'm actually doing at the moment, because they're so expensive and because the dollar is so bad at the moment, it costs me like $40 a film to import, maybe a bit more with the shipping and everything. So what I'm actually doing is I'm waiting for that next like buy 2 for £30 thing, which is essentially getting buy one get one free because they're like 20 to £30 to begin with. And I think what's I saying? Yeah, I think the best way to do it is wait for that multi-buy deal, and then you can. So I haven't bought Frozen 2, I haven't bought Star Wars, I haven't placed an order for Onward, I haven't got Maleficent in 3D yet. I'm just gonna wait for that next sale and I'm gonna buy them all. Save like a ton of money, I think. So that's the best. I think that's the best way to do it. I've got this little bit of hair which is annoying me. I'm sure it's probably annoying everyone out there. I don't know where it is. There. It's still there. It's still there. Where is it? There we go. We squashed it. Thank you for your question, Amazing Alex. Zavvi is the way to go, so check them out. Or eBay. But the only thing is, Zavvi, well, I guess Amazon UK are as well. From both of them, I've had like 50% chance of actually getting like slipcovers. So Amazon's easier to actually get them to resend it. Zavvi's a little harder. Their customer service isn't as good as Amazon's. We're going back into the chat here again. It's really hard for me to get to all the questions that are here. So if you do really want a question answered, send in a super chat, and I will answer everything that comes in down in the super chat there. We've got a question come in from Fishsticks 1996. How's it going with old mate Rick? Going well. Old mate Rick is well. As you see, he popped his head in before. He's doing well. He's locked down as well. But that's life for us, really. I work from home every day. He's sort of semi-retired, does a few jobs here and there. So it's not that different for us. Because we're just usually working from home and whatever. My mother's home now too. She's working from home, so it's like a big family thing. We're all here in the family house, living okay during this isolation thing. Old mate Rick's doing well. Thank you so much for asking about him. Sam Calcagno asked favorite and least favorite Tarantino film. My favorite Tarantino film has to be Pulp Fiction. I love that film. I adore it. My least favorite, probably, what was that Grindhouse one he did? Death Proof? Did he do the Death Proof one, or did he do the other one? I can't even remember. Those movies just blended in. Yeah, it was Death Proof was the Tarantino one, wasn't it? Wasn't the other one? It's an alright movie, but it was just not my favorite Tarantino film out of the lot. But I love pretty much every one of his movies. I believe we've had another super chat come in. Thank you so much. Another very generous super chat. Are there any fictional characters from your nation that currently have, and for some reason I need to go into the chat to see this one because it's chopped the bottom off in my little super chat window. Where is it? I've got to try and find the super chat in the main chat because there we go. Are there any fictional characters from your nation that currently have worldwide fame? No. The only ones I can think of, we got Felix the Cat, who was, I guess, Pat Sullivan was an Australian, but there's always there's the debate whether Pat Sullivan is the rightful creator or Otto Messmer is the rightful creator. Otto Messmer, of course, was not Australian, and you've got the people who believe Otto Messmer created him, people who believe Pat Sullivan. I kind of believe it was like an amalgamation between the two. So maybe Felix the Cat, of course, Crocodile Dundee. Everyone knows Crocodile Dundee, and that movie, that series of films, that character has put out so many, I guess, stereotypes for the Australian people. Most of them which are correct. But yeah, Croc Dundee, probably. It's not a knife. This is a knife. Great film. Check out Crocodile Dundee. I see you've played Knifey Spoony before. That's the Simpsons version. Yeah, Croc Dundee. I don't know if people outside of Australia know Blinky Bill. It was a great animated series from here in Australia. Really great. I loved it as a kid. I rewatched it maybe 10 years ago. Maybe a little bit. Maybe 7 years ago. They replayed it all. I watched quite a bit of it. Great series, great character too. But other than that, Dame Edna, but I'm not sure if the Americans would really know Dame Edna, but I know the Brits love Dame Edna Everage, which is Barry Humphries, one of our comedians, actors, basically in drag, is a character named Dame Edna. Brilliant character. So I think off the top of my head, they're probably the three Australian characters that stick out to me that have like some kind of international acclaim. Other than that, probably not. But thank you so much again, Ian, for your super chat. Much appreciated. Once again, if you do want your question answered, the best way is to send in a super chat. Otherwise, I'm just going to scroll through this chat and I am missing a lot of questions. I apologize. Andy Pandy, the Nicktoons fan. Can you do a cartoon evolution of The Simpsons? Perhaps one day. I do get that request a lot. I would have to figure out how to do it. It would be a very difficult one to do. I haven't watched the last 15 seasons of The Simpsons, so I would probably have to watch them all, which is a large undertaking. Emil Janish, I would say The Mandalorian is a great idea of multiple directors coming together under one guy, Jon Favreau. So this is in reference again to that Star Wars question. Yes, absolutely. And I think that is probably the best way to do a franchise or a trilogy, is to have one guy or a creative team headed probably by one top guy, in the case of Jon Favreau for The Mandalorian, or George Lucas for the original Star Wars trilogy, who is controlling a group of creators who all get to put their own little stamp on it, but there is someone who has this idea, has a plan, knows it's going to happen, and people need to stick to that within reason. And again, Marvel is another great example of that. Kevin Feige is top dog. He's at the top. He's calling the shots. But the filmmakers, the writers, they get their own artistic freedom to play around with as well, as long as they stay in line with his master plan. That's how they should have done the Star Wars sequel trilogy. We've got another super chat come in from Anthony Zioli, I believe. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly, because it's a very, very generous super chat. Thank you so much for sending this in. We're going to answer this one, of course, because the super chat, I answer all of them. Hi, Dave. I just wanted to thank you for talking about animated film in such a sophisticated way and helping to eliminate the stigma that animation is just for kids. Keep up the great content and stay safe. Thanks, Anthony. thank you, Anthony. I really appreciate that. I appreciate the super chat. Very, very generous one. And I appreciate you saying this, because this is the one thing that I want to get out there, and the one thing that I really want to champion on here is that animation is not just for kids. And we spoke about this briefly on the last one, is that people who are making these animated films aren't kids. You haven't got like a 6-year-old going, let's make a movie about lions. Maybe it's a character called Simba and his father Mufasa dies. No, you don't have these children making these animated films. You have these like 30, 40, 50, 60-year-old guys and girls making these animated films. And I think when you've got such passionate creators behind something, I think it's unfair that it then gets lumped down to being like a kids thing because it's drawings, you know, because it's animated drawings or animated, you know, CG characters or whatever. I think that's such a stigma that does need to be stamped out. And unfortunately, I'm not sure if it will ever be stamped out 100%, but I'm trying to do my part, because animated films can be enjoyed by everyone and they are made for everyone. Again, I'll pull out that Walt Disney quote, which is, I don't make films for children, I make films for audiences. Something like that. I'm probably paraphrasing, but that is like the crux of Walt Disney's ideals and behind all of his films, which was he's making films that are going to make audiences laugh, cry, smile, have a good time. And he made films for people, you know, for audiences, general audiences, just enjoy. It doesn't matter if it's drawn or if it's live action, whatever. These are not for kids, you know, specifically. It's for everyone. And that is really what I want to do here. And I've seen so many people have written in saying, oh my God, I can't believe there's actually someone who is like trying to get this word out there. Thank you so much. I've had people say, you know what, I went off animation and I saw your stuff and I thought, what am I doing? And got back into it. And they're the kind of things I really, really, really love to hear. If you've got a story like that, please send it in because I love to hear that kind of stuff. But thank you once again, Anthony. Really generous super chat there. I really, really, really appreciate it. We're going to go back to the chat now. We have got one in here from The Last Jedi. Have you seen Rocket Man? I have seen it. I saw it at cinemas. I was over in the UK when I saw it. I mean, my girlfriend went to see it. We both loved it. And I thought it was a great film. I've never been a huge Elton John fan. I like his music. I like a lot of his songs. I'm not a huge Elton John fan, but I love the film. I thought it was fantastic. Really, really, really fantastic film. James Lorna asks, Vegemite or Marmite? I'm a Aussie through and through, man. Well, I do say I'm a part British. I am half Australian, half British, but it is the Aussie side of me that has grown up eating Vegemite. That means Vegemite is my staple, not that Marmite stuff. That's one of the things that the Aussies certainly have over the Brits, and I know the Brits will argue against that. It's Vegemite through and through. I have it probably 3 or 4 times a week, some Vegemite. I love it. But a bit of toast. Oh, lovely. Lovely. I can hear so many people shuddering down in the comments there. We've got one here from SJR Noodles. SJR Noodles, will you do a SpongeBob evolution? I had planned on doing a SpongeBob evolution this month, this coming month, to coincide with the film, but the film got axed until the end of the year, so we're going to have to wait until the end of the year to do a SpongeBob evolution, hopefully. Let's see if I can find enough information to kind of... I am maybe second guessing maybe doing it. I'm not too sure because I'm not sure if there's enough information to get one, like a proper one done. I don't know if I'm going to annoy people by doing SpongeBob. I don't know. I'll probably have to hold a poll on that one. But there is plans currently, yes, that I will probably like 90% do a SpongeBob evolution when the film comes out. Someone asks, KR My Studios asks, do evolution of Super Mario. I get a lot of people requesting video game characters. I'm not really about the video game characters. Maybe one day we'll touch on some video game characters, maybe Mario, maybe Sonic. I get that one a lot too, but right now I'm focused on cartoon characters that like began. I know there were Super Mario cartoons, Sonic cartoons, watched them all as a kid, loved them, but characters that begun as cartoons, or I stretched the rule before where I did Popeye, who spawned in comics, but he's more well known for his cartoons. So characters that are more well known for their video games, I'm not really touching at the moment, but maybe one day. I mean, I will end up exhausting all the cartoon characters at some point. I'm going to have to think of ways to keep it going. Again, we have people in here who are spamming the board. Please do not do that. I have someone here who has sent in the same question literally 7 times in a row without any other questions from other people in between. Please don't do that. That is a surefire way not to get your question answered, because it just clogs up the feed. Again, if you have a question that you really want asked, either ask it down in the super chat. I really appreciate that. Or send in the question, wait 15 minutes. If I haven't answered it, send it again, and hopefully I'll get to it. I really appreciate it. Jacoby asks, can you please tell me your thoughts on The Way, Way Back? Brilliant film. One of Sam Rockwell's great performances. And I just thought it's such an underrated movie, and his performance in that is so underrated. We had this discussion last week that it's not good to use the word underrated or overrated. It just means someone likes something more than me, or someone doesn't like something less than me. Someone doesn't like something as much as me, or someone likes something more than me. So I think they're very loaded words, but I feel like this is a film that didn't get the recognition that it deserved. His performance in that didn't get the recognition it deserved either. I thought it was a brilliant movie. I think I have to rewatch that because I loved it. I absolutely loved it. James Giotis asks, I was gonna answer James's question, but the chat went weird, so I'm actually gonna do a search here and try and pull it up. Okay, he asks. He's asked a couple of questions. No, which one was it? This one. Which animated film do you think tried way too hard to emulate Disney, but not in a very good way? Oh, this is interesting. It's really hard to say in a bad way. I mean, there's a lot of cartoons that came out of like the 20s, the 30s, on the back of Mickey Mouse. His big success, and so many studios went in and tried to rip off the Disney style, try to capitalize on the Disney style. A lot of them are really bad, but a lot of them are actually quite good. So some of the earlier Looney Tunes cartoons ripped off the Disney style. A lot of Chuck Jones's early ones specifically did that, really emulated that Disney style, but some of them actually came out really, really good. Some of the other ones, really bad. You actually see it in a lot of the old, like, late 20s, usually around like 1928, 1929, 1930, when Mickey Mouse was like at the height, like big. He first came out, bang, everyone's like, Mickey Mouse, everyone loves Mickey Mouse. You got all these studios start to put these little mice characters in the films, and I see it, the more cartoons that I have to go through to do these videos, the more little Mickey Mouse characters I find in like Fleischer cartoons and early Warner Brothers cartoons, MGM cartoons, and I always think like that's the line you got to draw. Don't rip off that character. You can use a style, try and emulate a style, but when you start like just dropping in, oh, here's Mickey Mouse, that's not the way to do it. There is a really great saying that says every filmmaker stands on the shoulders of another great filmmaker. So essentially, every great filmmaker is taking styles, taking techniques, taking visual cues, paying homage to filmmakers past. So the filmmakers that have come before are the ones who have made today's films possible. And everyone who is a filmmaker, even me when I make my documentaries or I write, I am drawing inspiration from the people that have come before me doing the same things, but also putting my own spin on it. So I think that's the important thing, is finding that line between, while I'm taking these ideas because they've done it really well, but how can I do it a little bit differently? So I think that's always the best way to do it. And like a lot of those like Don Bluth films are so Disney. Of course, he was a Disney animator, left with a bunch of Disney animators left Disney with a bunch of Disney animators to form another animation studio. Anastasia, Thumbelina, they're so Disney in nature, but they pull it off really well because he's able to put his own little twist on it. And there's nothing wrong with taking little bits and pieces from other people, as long as you appropriate them in a unique way. Michael's Plush World asked, hey, can you do Mighty Mouse? Mighty Mouse is one I've had a lot of questions for. I don't know if there'd be a lot to cover, but it is one that I would very, very much like to do at some point. I feel like once I've gotten past the stage where I'm doing like 30, 40-minute cartoon evolutions, we'll end up going and focusing on these like smaller characters and probably like 10, 11, 12-minute cartoon evolutions, which might even mean I might be able to get out a couple a month at some point down the line. Right now I'm focusing on the big characters, and then we'll go very small down to like Mighty Mouse. Josh Coram asks, what kind of desk are you working on? I'm working, I think, was this an Ikea thing? I'm trying to see, there's a sticker. I think it was an Ikea desk. It was one we had to put together anyway. Very simple. If I could pull the screen down, I would. I can't really. But I'm just working on like it's like a timber top desk that we got from like Ikea or something, and that's all I need. It's comfortable. I've got enough space here to do my thing. I do my writing here or my editing, everything. It's just an easy Ikea. I'm getting the yes from old mate Rick, who again is moderating the chat. He says I was an Ikea desk. We went and picked it up from Ikea. Let's get to some more questions. Chris Gavuris. Hi, Dave. I hope you're all good and safe. I am. Thank you for asking. Can you please tell me what you think of Cinderella 3? Now, what was 3? Was that A Twist in Time? Or was that the second one? I can't remember. I know I've watched them both a long time ago. 3 was A Twist in Time. They're okay. I think they're kind of on like the upper level of the Disney like sequels. I'm not really a fan of any of the Disney sequels, but I feel like if any of them are better than any others, the Cinderella ones are actually quite good because they did something a little bit different, a little bit unique, a little bit strange, a little bit out of the ordinary, and I admire them for that. But I'm overall not a huge fan of them, but they're kind of on that upper echelon of those live action remakes, those Disney Toon sequels. We've got one from, again, this is Josh Coram, who asked about the desk, but I'll answer this one. Following on Twitter, and I've seen you around on Blu-ray forums, how much scripting do you do for your videos? What do you prefer, script or free talk? I'd say like 95% of my stuff is scripted. Cartoon Evolutions especially are scripted to a T. I spend a week writing them. I literally spend a week researching, writing my Cartoon Evolutions. Probably a good, like 5 to 7 days to write one of them, and they're scripted down to a T. They usually range between 9 to 11 pages in length. Stuff like, let me think, like if I ever do trailer reactions, they're obviously not scripted. I just kind of go off the top of my head. Sometimes if I do like a breakdown, breakdown videos, like a trailer breakdown or whatever, is usually scripted. The one I did this week for the Looney Tunes cartoons was not scripted. I just kind of went off the top of my head, just as like an experiment to see how it would go, and I think it went pretty well, and I think I'll probably play around with doing that a little bit more. Film reviews are usually scripted. It just takes me half an hour to write a film review, and then I sit there for like an hour trying to film it, trying to get it down. But I don't necessarily need to stick to that script 100%. But then sometimes it depends on the movie. I might just want to sit down and just talk or rant or whatever. It's a big movie like Star Wars, for example. I literally just sat down and just like verbal vomited my thoughts. But some of the other ones where I do have a little bit of time to put them together, I will script them. Again, 95% of my stuff is scripted, especially stuff where it's like just voiceover. Scar Hunter asks, have you considered doing a cartoon evolution for Garfield? First time on the stream, by the way. Thank you so much for joining me, Scar Hunter. Thank you for joining me for the first time on the stream. I really appreciate it. Yes, Garfield is one that I get a lot as well. People are always talking about Garfield, wanting Garfield. I will definitely do Garfield one day. It's just a matter of me trying to find the time to do it. Because a lot of my cartoon evolutions I try to make sure are relevant, are topical. Again, it comes back to my 4 key points, which is relevancy, urgency, consistency, and regularity. And I try to hit on the ones that are having anniversaries or are for some reason kind of relevant at that time. So we'll find a time to do Garfield, but I just got to find the right time to do Garfield. What else have we got? We've got. I'm gonna go just scrolling through the chat. Swan Kelly says only a week. Wow, he must be hardworking. I am hardworking. Like I said, I spend. Again, this is probably in relation to me saying it takes me a week to write a Cartoon Evolution. It takes me a week to write the Cartoon Evolution. It takes me a good week and a half to edit the Cartoon Evolution, and that's in between doing all these other little videos I'm doing too. I'm up at 6 a.m. every morning, 6:30 a.m. I get up, first thing I do in the morning is watch a movie. That gets me reinvigorated, gets me energized. If I feel like, if I'm watching something creative, first thing in the morning, I feel like it gets me in like a creative mood where I can actually like, it gets those creative juices flowing, and it helps me in the afternoon to do creative things. It gets the brain ticking. And then I'm working I try to be in my office by about 9. Sometimes it's a little bit later, about 10. Or if I've gone for a walk in the morning, might be like 10:30, 11. But I'll work for a solid like 12 hours some days. Between 9 and 12 hours most days. I'm in here, I'm writing, I'm editing, filming, whatever. It's almost 7 days a week. Very rarely do I give myself a break. My evening is my break time. I come off, do dinner, watch TV or movie in the evening, and then the next morning it's straight back up. So I am constantly doing stuff. I try to find time to give myself a break, especially every now and then. If I've had like a really big month, I'll take a couple of days off, but that's not that. The YouTube algorithm makes it really difficult to be able to take too many breaks, unfortunately. But yes, thanks for saying. Very hard working, or hardly working. No, hard working. Always working hard. Bailey Vickers, when do you think there'll be another Disney Blu-ray collection update? I can't say because I haven't bought any Disney Blu-rays for ages. The last Blu-ray update has got us up to date. As I said, I haven't been buying the 3Ds from the UK as much as I normally would. I'm waiting for like a big sale. Next time there's probably a big sale will probably be the next time I do one of those. Wolf Lover Anthro says, what's your favorite animated film of all time? My favorite animated film of all time is a hard one because I feel like I look at animated films from different eras and I have like favorites from different eras. So from the classic age of animation would be like Fantasia, Snow White, and then like sort of like the, I guess, Silver Age animation, get like Sleeping Beauty, Jungle Book I love. Then you come like more towards more recent times where you've got stuff like The Lion King, you've got Toy Story, you've got Shrek. And yeah, I think that's some of my favorite animated films. What I really, really loved was Rango. I thought it was fantastic. Again, another one that I felt like didn't get as much appreciation as it really should have. Really, really brilliant film, Rango. I thought was fantastic. I haven't watched How to Train Your Dragon yet. A lot of people have been telling me to get on them because apparently they're amazing, but I really have to do that very, very, very soon. I just saw one that I was going to answer. Andy Pandy, Nicktoons fan says, can you do a cartoon evolution of Wallace and Gromit? Again, I'm really trying to stick to just cartoon characters, but I think at some point I probably will make an exception for Wallace and Gromit, because they're just on another level, really. I love Wallace and Gromit. I would love to do a Wallace and Gromit video at some point. Kyle Opper, are you going to rank the Back to the Future trilogy for the 35th anniversary? Not too sure. Ranking videos don't do incredibly well for me if they're a little, I don't know, sometimes, maybe. I have to think about it. I hadn't thought of it until now, but that's a possibility. What else have we got? Zach Zilla says, have you ever watched An American Tale, The Mystery of the Night Monster, or You Are Umasu before? Haven't seen either of them. I actually haven't seen any of the American Tail films. I just bought the first 2 recently, so I do need to watch them. let's go back to the chat. I'm going to scroll through. Couple of people apologizing for spamming. That's perfectly fine. It's okay. Don't worry about it. I'm not annoyed by it. It's just one of those things. It just makes it easier in the chat, especially for other people as well, to have their voices heard and just try not to drown out other people. That's what it's about. And like I said, I appreciate everyone sending in questions and stuff. If I haven't answered one of your questions after 5 or 10 minutes, feel free to send it in again. Just don't do the thing where it's like the same question like 10 times in a row without anyone else like getting a question in, sort of thing. What else have we got? Blankness. I will answer his question. Or her question. Can you please cover the evolution of the Disney characters Butch and Professor Von Drake? Not sure if Butch is one I'd ever do. Professor Von Drake is one that I get a lot. I don't know how well that would work either. Again, the cartoon evolutions really need to rely on these characters not only having important specific appearances, but they have to rely on these characters having some kind of interesting history. And a lot of these characters just don't have a history other than they were created out of necessity for a particular short, and I feel like Von Drake is one that's going to be like that, but it is one that I will probably look into doing at some point, maybe over the next few months. I'm not too sure, but it is one I get a lot, and it is one I probably will do at some point, but again, I can't guarantee when or if. Bailey Vickers asks, when do you... I answered that one already. Disney and Warner Brothers fan 01 says, what studio do you think makes the best theatrical cartoon shorts? Well, are there really any... I don't know if you're talking about like now or back in the day. Now, I don't know if there's really any of them Pixar that are doing theatrical shorts. And even them now aren't even... All the Pixar shorts are going straight to Disney Plus, which is a real shame. Back in the golden age... The best theatrical shorts, it's hard to say because all the studios were just doing so different. All their stuff was so different. The Warner Brothers stuff's incredible. The Disney stuff is incredible. The MGM stuff is incredible. All on their different kind of levels. I find it really hard to pick a favorite out of, especially like the classic theatrical cartoons. Scrolling back through again. Once again, if you do really absolutely want a question answered, the super chat is the way to go. I will see every single super chat that comes in and will answer every single one of them. Otherwise, it's a free for all in the chat, and there's so many questions coming in. I just can't possibly answer them all. Here we go. Daniel Acosta says, how excited are you for the new Animaniacs? Very excited. That was one of my favorite shows as a kid. Still holds up. The episodes that I've been watching for my cartoon evolutions, I found myself watching a few episodes, and they're brilliant. So I'm really excited to see how they bring that into the modern era. I think it's going to work really, really, really well. Raekwon Edmondson says, have you seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit? Of course I have seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit. It's a brilliant film. And if I hadn't seen Who Framed Roger Rabbit, I don't think I would be in any real position to be talking about what I do on a daily basis. It's a brilliant film. I love it. It's one of my favorite movies of all time. Brilliant, brilliant, brilliant film. And just a real groundbreaking movie as well. Fantastic. We have got a super chat coming here from Aficionados Chris. Again, the super chat window, it takes a while to refresh. Aficionados Chris says, much love to you, Dave. Thanks so much, Chris. I appreciate it. I love this guy. Aficionados Chris, again, last time we spoke about him, but I will speak about him every time. He does really great stuff over on his YouTube channel. He was like really one of the first YouTubers to be doing like Disney unboxings, little Disney review kind of things. I really loved his work and really inspired what I did kind of later on, what I'm doing now. And go and check out his channel, please. Please, everyone, I'm going to give you literally right now 30 seconds. I'm going to be sitting here, and in that time, you're going to go and subscribe to Aficionados Chris because he does some really great stuff. I'm giving you 30 seconds. I'm actually going to time it. Subscribe to Aficionados Chris, please. You got 20 seconds left to do it. Go off. open another window, whatever you got to do, just head over there, hit subscribe to Aficionados Chris. AFICIONADOS Chris. All right, I hope you have all done that. He's a great guy, great YouTuber. We collaborated a little while ago. I did like an episode of his podcast. You can find that either on his channel or it's on the homepage of my channel. Down the bottom, I've got like all random videos, and I've got like some of the stuff I've done with collaborators, other creators. You can find the little interview I did with him down there. Thanks again for the super chat, Chris. I really, really appreciate it. And I hope you guys have all gone over and subscribed to Chris, because he does some really great stuff. Animation, anime, video game stuff. Go and check him out. Terry James asks, is Mr. Magoo on your list for Cartoon Evolutions? Yes, eventually again, he'll be one of those ones that I cover when I go smaller, try and cover some of the smaller characters. Raekwon Edmondson, can you do the evolution of Penchito Postalis? One day, mate. It's one that I've been... one that I have considered, but the more I look into him, there's just no history there, other than let's make a Mexican version of Jose Carioca. Let's make a Mexican version, and that's essentially the history behind him. I have looked into it. I was going to do it a while back, but there's just very little history there to cover properly. But one day I would like to do a little spotlight on him, even if it's like a 5 or 10 minute thing. I do want to do a video on him. I just have to find a way to do it. We've got a super chat in here from, I apologize if I butcher your name right here, because I'm trying to figure out how to pronounce this properly. I apologize if I don't. Orejas Viajeras. Orejas Viajeras. I hope I have pronounced that correctly. Thank you so much. This is someone from Argentina, I believe. So thank you so much for everything you do. You inspire us so much with your amazing content. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. That was down in the super chat. Thanks for the super chat, and thank you for saying that. I really appreciate that very much. Thank you. Red Grizzly says, can I parody your Cartoon Evolution videos? Go ahead, do what you like. It's a free-for-all. People do whatever they want on YouTube. Just don't use the name Cartoon Evolution. Don't, steal my scripts or anything like that. You can do whatever you want. Just don't, call it Cartoon Evolution and steal my scripts. Or just re-upload my videos or whatever. Do what you like out there on YouTube. The Twin Tubers, can you do a Cartoon Evolution of Yogi Bear? Yes, I will at some point be covering Yogi Bear for sure. For sure. There's a lot of requests coming in for Cartoon Evolutions. People asking for Bimbo the dog. Bimbo will be covered in the Betty Boot video, but will not get his own video. Elmer Fudd. So many people ask for Elmer Fudd. Absolutely, I will be doing Elmer Fudd eventually. This is the thing I need to get across. Any big, major, huge cartoon superstar you can think of will get a video at some point. And I do say this over and over again, and it's okay if everyone doesn't see it, because I've got so many platforms here and there's only so many people who can see so many things. But every single major character will get a Cartoon Evolution at some point. Reality is I can only make one a month, and just because the length it takes me to put one together. If it takes me 2 or 3 weeks to put one together, I need that last week and a half in the month to just chill out and maybe work on smaller things. It helps me refresh. I mean, it would be great for growth for the channel to do 2 Cartoon Evolutions a month. I would love to be able to do it, but it would stress me out. It would wear me down. I would massively wear myself out and burn out. I'd love to be able to do more than one a month, but right now, feasibly can only do one a month, but every major cartoon character will be done eventually. The smaller ones are the ones with the question marks over them. But yes, it seems like the chat has turned into just people requesting characters, so I just have to put that out there. We've got Isaac Smith. What's your favorite color? My favorite color is blue. Don't know why. I just love blue. Raekwon Edmondson, Coco the Clown Evolution. Again, Coco the Clown, Bimbo the Dog, both will be covered in the Betty Boop Evolution video, but they probably will not warrant their own Cartoon Evolution video. Again, major characters will get a Cartoon Evolution, so let's get back to just regular questions. I get requests for Cartoon Evolutions constantly on every post I put out there, and I love how passionate you are. I love how much you want to see these characters get their videos. But for right now, let's get back to the regular questions. Aficionados Chris says he's been getting some new subs, which is awesome. Fantastic. I love to. If you haven't subscribed to Aficionados Chris, head over to his channel, please, and subscribe. I will love you for it, and Chris will love you for it as well. Glitchy Bitch just said subbed to Dave. Don't know why it wasn't before. And this is like mad typing. Thank you. If anyone is in here and has not subscribed to me, please do it. Why aren't you subscribed yet? I love it. I appreciate it too. Scarman S. Hunter says, have you seen Castle in the Sky? 1986 Studio Ghibli film. My all-time favorite Ghibli film. Absolutely beautiful animation, great cinematography, and fantastic acting. I haven't seen it. Like I said, the only ones I've seen is Howl's Moving Castle, Spirited Away, and Grave of the Fireflies. I haven't seen that one, but again, I really, really, really need to get into the Ghibli films when I get a chance. Huntley Haverstock. Hey Dave, have you thought about doing classic film content or maybe a classic film Blu-ray library video? I would love to do stuff on classic cinema. I'd love to. It's always something that I've been passionate about for a very, very long time, and I would love to make videos about it. I just need to find the right audience for it, and I feel like some of these Cartoon Evolution videos might be kind of like a little slipstream for me to actually be able to get into it. This Betty Boop one, especially, is one where I dive really deeply into classic Hollywood. We talk about classic Hollywood starlets of the time like Clara Bow, and of course Helen Kane, and we talk a lot about the state of Hollywood at the time that Betty Boop came into fruition. We talk about the Hays Code, the implementation of essentially film censorship. So there's a big deep dive not only on Betty Boop, but we dive deep into the history of Hollywood at the time that she arrived. And I have to say it is my favorite piece of writing I've ever done. I really love what I've done with this one. I don't know if as many people are going to watch it as like Bugs Bunny, but it's my favorite piece of writing I've ever done. I had the most fun doing this one. Absolutely, hands down, this is the most fun I've ever had writing a Cartoon Evolution. I think that is because I get to dive into all these other avenues of things that I love and I'm so passionate about. And I hope you really enjoy what I have done with it, especially my chats about my dissection of classic Hollywood in the late 20s, kind of into the middle 30s. And I would absolutely love to do more videos on classic Hollywood. I just need to have that audience there to actually watch it. So maybe at some point, if this does well, I will do like a little experiment, but I would love to at some point be able to talk more about classic cinema. Let me know in the chat if this is something you're interested in, because I would love to be able to just dive deeply into classic cinema, talk about classic films, classic starlets, classic stars. It's another one of the things I think I would be, if I had to pick two areas that I'm really well versed in when it comes to film and cinema, it's cartoons, of course, and classic cinema and classic film stars. Talk About Cinema asks, or says, finally made it to a stream. Thank you for joining me, and I'm glad you finally made it to one. Do you have a preference for a specific Looney Tunes director's style of cartoons? I find it so hard to pick. I mean, the first one that comes to mind is probably Chuck Jones, because his style was just so. I'm gonna say his style was so different, so unique. But they all had their own unique styles. The ones that stand out for me probably are I can't pick, because they all just did everything so differently. Whether it's Chuck Jones or Friz Freleng or Tex Avery and Robert Clampett, they just all had their own. They're probably the ones at the high echelon for me. Those group of guys, because their shorts are just so funny, so artistic, so inventive. they're probably the ones that I would say, but I can't pick an absolute favorite. The one doesn't count. Says you always say Disney can't release theatrical cuts of the original trilogy, but you're the only person I've heard say this. Could you give a source? I'll try and find a source, but I'm not the only. I've heard many people say this, and I've seen it in many sources. Is that I can't say it's 100% fact, but it is believed that in George Lucas's contract for selling Star Wars to Disney, there is a clause in there that they cannot release the original theatrical cuts. He makes it very difficult for anyone to even play those cuts of the films in a cinema. So, like, if you were to license out Star Wars to play in a local cinema or something, George Lucas will not lease out the original theatrical cut. He will not sign over a license to play that theatrical cut. And there was a screening of the original cut of Star Wars from A New Hope, 1977. It was like an Academy screening, which was apparently a very, very rare screening, one of the only times in probably decades that the film has been screened theatrically. So I believe, again, I can't be 100%, but I have seen from multiple sources, and I will try and find one, that there is a clause in that sale to Disney that Disney cannot release the theatrical cuts of Star Wars without his express permission beforehand. Talk About Cinema says, what's the oldest film you've seen? The oldest film that I've seen is a film called The History of the Cali Gang. I think that's what it's called. I'm trying to... I believe it was like 1901. I have to try and get that correctly. I'm going to look it up. It's Australian film. The Story of the Cali Gang. It's 1906. And it is commonly considered to be the first feature film. The very first feature narrative film. It only goes for, it says 70 minutes here. I believe only like 40 minutes of it actually still exist. But that's like the first, what they say is the very first narrative feature film ever made, The Story of the Cali Gang. Really great film. Really, well, you know, for a movie that was made in 1906, it's a great film and really great experimental little film about a bushranger, Australian bushranger named Ned Kelly, so criminal, who is kind of, there's a strange thing in Australia where we've had a history of criminals who have been glorified in media, and whether Ned Kelly's probably like the top of that. And then you've got people who are like part of like the Gangland War. It's a really, maybe it's got something to do with the fact that the original Australians were convicts sent over from the UK. But there's been just this really weird fascination in Australian media with like criminals and stuff, which is very, very strange. But yeah, The Story of the Cali Gang would be the oldest film I've seen, because it is the oldest film that exists, really. And then there's probably like short films and stuff that predate that I have seen. Mark Shurard, I hope I'm not pronouncing that correctly, I can guarantee it. He asks, hey Dave, do you ever buy movies on digital? No, I don't think I've ever bought a digital film. Just because everything that I want is on physical, and I would prefer to buy the physical over a digital file. If there is something that's on digital that's not on physical, I'd prefer to just kind of wait from the digital. I'm a Derek asks, this is Derek, one of my subscribers, been around for a while. Thank you for stopping by. Hello Dave, have you heard when Amazon UK may open up to international shipping? Don't know. I actually only found out yesterday that they'd closed off all international shipping. I would guess as soon as this whole quarantine thing is over, this whole lockdown thing, but then again, I kind of feel like Amazon UK might kind of go, why do we need to be shipping internationally at all, and might just never do it again. They're not shipping to Australia for years now. So, I don't know, I couldn't say. My guess would be if they do open up international shipping again, it would be after the lockdown, but if ever. I don't know. There's so many things are going to change in the world after this. Let's go back into the chat. Thanks again for your chat, Derek. It's a good one. That critic, have you thought of doing an evolution of animation studios? Yeah. Well, when I eventually will happen, run out of characters to do, I'm gonna have to find new ways to continue the series, or continue the heart of the series. And one of my ideas is, yeah, I'll do like little spotlights on the studios. Pardon me, getting scratchy already. What do you call it? Yeah, I do little spotlights on the cartoon studios. And another thought is doing like little spotlights on the different animators, the different creatives. We'll go in all these different directions at some point, but for right now, I'm focusing on the characters themselves. Jamie Dreams 2 asks, have you read any good Disney books lately? Any recommendations? I got one in the other day. I haven't read it. I flicked through it. Give me a second. If I can get it out. This one, it's a very expensive one. It usually markets for about $100, $150, but Book Depository had it down to $50, so that was like the right price for me. Walt Disney's Ultimate Inventor, the Genius of Ub Iwerks. Fantastic. This is written by Don Iwerks, who I believe is his grandson, or maybe he's some relation there. Was it his son? I can't remember. But that's the book, and it's a real deep dive. This is the first like deep dive that has been done on Ub Iwerks, and it specifically focuses on, let me see if I can find like one of the pages. Specifically focuses on the inventions that he created while he was not only at Disney, but just in general making animated films. And it's got a very big focus on his process, and really, really fantastic in-depth looks at the processes. Because after Ub Iwerks left Disney, he continued to go on. Of course, he opened his own studio up, and he was creating his own innovations. Like back, late 20s, early 1930s, it was every studio for themselves. Every studio had their own version of the multiplane camera. So Ub Iwerks had his own version of the multiplane camera. The Fleischers had their own version of the multiplane camera. Everyone had to be inventive, innovative, and Ub Iwerks was probably at the top echelon of innovators in animation. And like I said, when he did his own studio, he created some innovations while he was there at his own studio. But after his studio kind of went bust, he closed it down. He went back to Disney. And essentially, he was there as like I can't remember the exact title that he had, but it was like head of special innovations or something. And so he essentially went back to Disney to specifically innovate things for cartoons, for the theme parks, for live action films. He was the one behind the original kind of green screen process that they used for Mary Poppins. He invented so many great things. So yeah, that is like great book. I've got a couple of people telling me Don Iwerks is his son. I think you are correct. I believe Don Iwerks is, actually might even say here, Don Iwerks followed his father, Disney legend Ub Iwerks, to the Walt Disney Studios in 1950. So there you go. That's Don's son. That book came out just before Christmas last year, and I've only just been able to get it for a good price. Keep your eye on Book Depository. That's where I got it for about $50, $55 recently. Otherwise, I recently read Bob Iger's book, which is fantastic. It's all the way up the top, though, so I won't pull that one down. But that one, check that one out if you can. Give me a sec. All right, I'm putting that down there for now. It's a bit squeezy in there. What else we got? Let's go back to the chat again. If you really, 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 really want a question answered, the best way to do it is to send in a super chat, because I will definitely see them all and I will definitely answer them all. Otherwise, it's a free-for-all in the chat. Tinker B11 says Leslie Iwerks also did the Imagineering story on Disney. Yes. Brilliant, 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 brilliant series. I loved it so much. That is the best thing to come out of Disney Plus so far. A lot of people still asking for cartoons for Cartoon Evolution again. Yes, I will do all the big ones. Elmer Fudd is one I get a lot. This is the funny thing. I put out a poll not long ago asking what cartoon Looney Tunes character you were wanted next, and Marvin the Martian won by spades, and Elmer Fudd was like one of the lower ones, I think, and no one watched the Marvin the Martian evolution video, but I still am constantly getting people asking me to do an Elmer Fudd video, which is really funny. The polls aren't always 100% correct, I've found. But yes, Elmer Fudd will get a video eventually, but I'm sorry, it probably will not be until next year. He's not on my list of characters for this year. Carter the Movie Boy says, can you say hi to me? Hi, Carter the Movie Boy. The Twin Tubers, how long do you plan to stream for? Well, I've been on an hour and a half, so I'll probably only be on here for another half an hour because I've got heaps of work to get through today. Just scrolling through the chat here. Sketchbud asks, what are your thoughts of the Nickelodeon Netflix partnership? I think it's going to be pretty cool. I mean, that's a good way to get the Nickelodeon stuff out there, and hopefully some new stuff as well. And I think any new Nickelodeon stuff is good, is okay for me. I know not everyone has cable or whatever. More people have Netflix now, so I think it's going to be a better way to get all this stuff out there. It's going to be awesome. What else have we got? Reading through here. Oh, we have another super chat come through from Nathan Fonten. Thank you so much, Nathan. I appreciate this. One of my fantastic followers. He did when we did that Winnie the Pooh video I did in the Ashdown Forest over in the UK. This guy was my Winnie the Pooh voice. Hey man, glad I could make it to a stream. Here's a question: who's your favorite Pixar director? It's so hard. I can't pick. I would probably say the one that has had the biggest hits for me would be Pete Docter. He's done some fantastic stuff, whether that is direction or writing. Of course, he has directed Up, which is a brilliant film. Monsters, Inc., one of my favorite films. Inside Out wasn't a favorite film of mine, but I think it's so visionary, so beautiful. And then, of course, he's written stuff like Wall-E and wrote the original Toy Story with a group of other guys. I think he's probably the one that I would gravitate towards as being one of those just really influential ones who has done some really great stuff and has had his fingers in lots of different places. Otherwise, there's just so many great Pixar directors out there, but I think he's the one I probably gravitate towards the most. Thank you again, Nathan, for your very generous super chat. I appreciate it. Once again, if you do want a question answered, the best way to do it is in the super chat. I will see them all. I will answer them all. But for now, back to the chat. I'm going to scroll quite a way up because there's so many I feel like I missed at some point. Scarbonates Hunter, do you collect VHSs? I just completed my entire Walt Disney Black Diamonds Masterpiece Collection releases, every single original and re-release prints. That's very good effort. I don't really collect them. I have a lot from when I was a kid, downstairs in a box somewhere, but I'm not really like a collector of them, I would say. But I do have a few. We sold off a lot of VHS years and years and years and years and years and years ago. So I'm not a huge collector of VHS, but I do have some that I don't really want to get rid of. And that's stuff like Disney stuff, animated stuff that I just can't get rid of because it's just tangible stuff that I love. We're going back in here. We're going back in here for the chat. I'm scrolling up, trying to find some good questions in here. We've got one here. Oh no, I answered that one. I'm trying to find questions that are original, unique, that I haven't answered before. Levi Hurd asks, what was your biggest inspiration to start your critique of classic animation? Thank you for a really great question. This is one that was sent in last time, but I think I missed the question. I'm not sure if it came from the same person, but it was a very similar question. I missed it. I only saw it afterwards. My inspiration to start my critique of classic animation, I just love it. As you can see, all these little bits and pieces behind me. It is a big inspiration for me, and it was I guess a niche market that I found that I hope fairly decent about talking about. I hope I'm good about talking about. People seem to enjoy my critiques or my dives or whatever, and it was just for me. I just love talking about movies in general, really, and I just found that people were very receptive to my critiques or my videos on animation. And I think very early on, my channel was originally like a Disney fan channel, and that was essentially because I found that I had an older channel, an old channel years ago before this one, where I was doing movie stuff, and I always found that the Disney stuff was the ones that were getting the big hits. And I just found that's the stuff that people gravitated towards for me. The cartoon evolutions really just spawned out of me wanting to do the very first evolution video I did was the Mickey Mouse explaining Disney video, which was essentially a breakdown of his most important appearances. Very different to what the videos I'm doing now are, but that's where it all started, this cartoon evolution series, Mickey Mouse. And, that video blew up. I did a Donald Duck one, that blew up. I did a Goofy one, that blew up. I did more, they just all kept. And it was that first series of videos where I was consistently getting that same amount of hits, consistently good hits. I've done series in the past, so I still do series now where I do one and it's really big, it blows up, it's like a really big video. I try to do a follow-up and it flops. But Cartoon Evolutions, or what they were originally the Disney ones, is this first series where I was getting consistently good big views on. And then once I'd exhausted the Disney characters, so many people were saying, do Looney Tunes, do Tom and Jerry, do MGM, do the Flashers, do our Fireworks, do, whatever. So I thought that Bugs Bunny video was such a big, for me, I felt like it was a big risk. It was a big experiment to see people were interested in me talking and stuff more than other animation studios. And the Bugs Bunny one blew up. That's my number one cartoon evolution ever. It's almost going to hit 1 million views very soon. Help me hit 1 million views. Go back and watch the Bugs Bunny video when you get a chance. Give me some hits on that one. It's I don't know what it's on now. Let's have a look. Bugs Bunny Evolution. We are on 982,000. So guys, help me get that last 19,000 views that I need to get on Bugs Bunny to get me over 1 million views. That would be amazing. But yeah, essentially I just get really good reception to them, a really good reaction to them. Everyone seems to really enjoy them, and it's become, I guess, my niche. It's something I've been studying personally for probably 10 years, is the history of animation, just in my spare time, something that I really loved. I'm just constantly, as long as I can remember, 20 years of my life, I've been studying, researching films, filmmaking, filmmakers, film stars, whatever. It's just something that I've always loved doing. And animation over the last 10 years, I guess, has become my forte. Mostly been researching Disney over the last 10 years, but now I've finally had a chance to dive deeper into some of the other animation studios, which I may have only briefly brushed over in the past. So that's where that all comes from, I suppose. Thank you. Good question. People are saying to block someone in the chat. I'm not going to block someone. I haven't really seen... oh, I see. I understand why. They've said, I'm just a kid, don't block me. I won't block you, but don't spam people, please. Please don't spam people. Please just don't... I see. They're doing what I've asked not to do, which is constantly ask for characters. Again, big characters will be done. Please stop asking for characters for Couch and Evolution in the chat because it just clogs it up. I'm not going to block... I won't block you. I will give you a chance. Just please do not keep spamming like this, okay? I appreciate the passion. I appreciate the passion that you want me to do these videos and whatever, and I really appreciate the support and everything, but please don't spam it because it does annoy other people. Oh, we've got 2 super chats come in, 2 generous super chats. Thank you so much. First one is from Ryan's Treasures. Have you ever thought about buying some of the Walt Disney Treasures sets? A lot of them are expensive, but some of them you can find on eBay for a good price. Yeah, I was just so late. I was just like this late. I mean, I only got into the Disney stuff probably 12, 13 years ago, collecting Disney Blu-rays and stuff. And by that point, they'd stopped doing the treasures, which is why I don't have any of them. I have considered over the years going back and picking up a few, but I'm someone who doesn't do things by half measures. So if I buy 1 or 2 of something, I have to have them all. And it's kind of like, some of these sets go for hundreds of dollars, and I can't go down that rabbit hole. And I guess some part of it is just waiting for some of the stuff to hit Blu-ray. Some of it has, a vast majority of it hasn't. A lot of the stuff is either going to be on Disney, some of the stuff is on Disney Plus, some of it I can find on YouTube. Haven't had a huge desire to go back and spend hundreds and hundreds of dollars on DVD sets. I know they are things I probably should have in my collection, but just something I never have gone back and done. I just missed them by this much. Thank you once again, Ryan's Treasures, for your very generous super chat. And we've got another very generous super chat here from Danny Spellman. Hey Dave, don't have a question. Thanks for everything. I have your Evolution series on repeat. Thank you so much, Danny, both for the very, very generous super chat there and for the incredible compliment there and your just little comment there. I really appreciate it. I've heard this from a few people recently, is people saying that they're going back to old Couch and Evolutions and rewatching them and having them on repeat and just constantly. I love that. That's the kind of reaction, the kind of what do you call it? I guess the kind of feedback response that I love to get from this series. People watching them. Pardon me, people rewatching them. I love it. Thank you so much. And I love that my videos can reach so many people from around the world. Oh, pardon me, I've got like a hiccupy thing going on. I think because I've been talking for so long. But yes, thanks so much, Danny and Ryan's Treasures, for the 2 super chats. Once again, I will remind people the best way to get your questions answered is down in the super chat down below. Otherwise, we're back to the chat here. Again, I'd like people to let me know where you are from. I'd love to hear where people are from around the world. Which is I love to know where people are watching from. It's awesome. It's great to just kind of know. Tori10, hi Dave, do you ever try to hunt down premium versions of movies that you really like, e.g. Mantalab, Kamichi DVD, Everything Blue, Film Arena? I have looked into some of them in the past, but they're so expensive, and I don't think there's really been a film that I'd really want to spend that amount of money on. But absolutely, like, I buy so many like special edition sets of movies that I really, really like. I just feel like those places, I've seen a lot of the like incredible releases, but there's never been anything that's grabbed me. One day if they do something for a film that I absolutely adore, like a favorite film of mine, whatever, I absolutely will grab one. Like, I buy a lot of the Mondo vinyl records that they do for like some of my favorite films, like premium record sets. Some of them cost me $70 or $80. So I would be open to doing that for a movie, but it has to be like the right one. Thomas Lover Toys and More asks, will you do a video game evolution series? Again, no planned right now to cover video game characters, but maybe one day. I don't think I would ever do a video game evolution series, but possible. Maybe a few years down, I would cover characters like Sonic or Mario or whatever. People are telling me where they're from. Australia, g'day. Chicago, Illinois. Have been to Chicago. Loved Chicago, the windy city. We've got people from England, Manchester. Haven't been to Manchester yet. I've been all around England, but I haven't been to Manchester. New Jersey. People from England, 1:45 a.m. I know. North Carolina. I haven't been to North Carolina either, over in the States. Ohio, Florida, Louisiana, Washington State. I haven't been to Washington State. I've been to Washington, D.C. West Palm Beach, Florida. Western Massachusetts, USA. I've been to Massachusetts. North America. We've got people from all over, which is fantastic. Callan O'Rourke says, did you ever have friends growing up thinking it was girly to like Disney films? I guess, yeah, I always came across people like that. And it was more necessarily not so much girly to like Disney films, more like maybe a bit girly, a bit feminine, whatever, to like maybe the princess films, like The Little Mermaid or The Beauty and the Beast, or The Beauty and the Beast, or Cinderella, or whatever. If I usually find that people who are asking these questions are people that maybe do have friends that do tell them these things. Just tell them whatever. It's stupid. I think it's stupid to pigeonhole any movie for a specific kind of person, a specific gender, a specific age. Movies are for everyone, and we can all love whatever we want to love. And if people call you girly for it or whatever, so be it. Just cop on the chin and just embrace it. My favorite movie of all time is The Wizard of Oz. Okay, over my years, the amount of people who've told me that I'm girly or whatever. I mean, The Wizard of Oz is like is a huge film in the LGBT community, and I got a lot of flack over the years for people, not very nice people. You know, why do you like The Wizard of Oz? That is like the greatest film that is just all about just accepting people for who they are, for loving people, and just like, if there's people who are telling you you shouldn't like movies for a specific reason, maybe you shouldn't be friends with them, or maybe you should just tell them just to get lost. You know, and these things shouldn't stop you from liking movies, whether it's girly or whether it's a movie tailored towards a specific demographic that maybe you don't specifically fit within, or if people want to bring you down for liking a specific kind of movie for a specific reason. I think that's so stupid. I think that's the stupidest thing. And for my whole life, I've never let something like that get me down, because I know who I am. I am comfortable with who I am, and I don't feel like we should feel ashamed of liking things, liking movies, liking TV shows, liking books, liking music, whatever. There shouldn't be a thing as a girly movie or a boy movie or whatever. Just like what you like, okay? I've got a lot of people in here who are saying, I'm a dude and I like The Wizard of Oz, and that's fantastic. Everyone can like The Wizard of Oz. Whether you are part of the LGBT community and you love it for that reason, or you are someone who just loves the movie or whatever, you know, you don't have... I find there are a lot of gatekeepers in fandom, and I have found a lot of people who are saying, why do you like this movie if you're not part of this community? Forget these people. Just forget these people. You've got me on a little rant, because this is something I am passionate about. Love what you love because you love it, and don't not love something because someone tells you shouldn't not love it. If that makes sense. Ryan's Treasures says, sends in a super chat. Another one. Thank you so much. Do you think there'll be more DMC exclusives? I don't know. I really hope so, but I feel like there have been none since Disney Plus, which is very worrying. But I hope they will do more. But again, they have been... Disney, at the best of times, are unpredictable, very unpredictable, and the DMC is just on a whole other level of unpredictability. So I don't know. I honestly can't even speculate on that. People are saying my volume is low, which is, I don't know what's going on with the microphone. I've got it pumped up as far as I can, and it's just kind of like, I guess I need to be speaking into it like this, but I don't want to because then it pops, and it's annoying for people. I've turned it up as high as I can. I don't think there's any function on the microphone that gets it up any higher, but my only suggestion is pump your volume up because I'm sorry, but I can't do anything more than that. It's pumped right up the top. Is this better though? I've moved a little bit closer. Matt Hunter says, I'm a straight dude from Texas and I like The Wizard of Oz. Fantastic. Awesome. I just don't think these things, again, I'm going to go on a rant again, but I don't think these things should factor into our enjoyment of media or films or anything. Where your sexual orientation, your gender, your age, your race, whatever, these things should not factor into the movies that we enjoy. And if there are people putting you down for liking things that you enjoy for any of these specific reasons, either tell them to get lost or just don't be friends with them anymore, because that's just, VHS DVD Blu-ray Previews Australia says his favourite movie is Shark Tale. Unfortunately, I cannot get behind that one. I don't like that movie at all. I saw it once and really didn't like it. Mewtube says, G'day Dave. G'day Mewtube. It's a fellow Australian YouTuber. He lives nearby. Actually, we went to the same school, but kind of, I guess, ran into each other a few times, but didn't. He's mates with my mates, and we're from the same area. G'day YouTube. He does great videos too. He does, not at the moment because we're all on lockdown, but it does these great like urban exploring things, goes into abandoned buildings, all that kind of stuff. Check him out if you're into that stuff. He did one that went viral last year, just before Christmas, I think, where he went to the old Big Brother house up in Queensland, and did that video. It went viral, and he kind of took off a little bit there, but he does some really, really great videos. Go and check him out if you're into that like urban exploring stuff. Really, really fascinating videos all around Australia. If you want like a little slice of Australia, of Melbourne, where I come from, I recommend checking him out. Someone in the comments has said Melbourne sucks. Now this is probably someone from Sydney, I'd imagine. I don't know, but I'm putting you in timeout just because you're on a 300-second timeout. Oh no, I accidentally deleted the comment. I didn't mean that. I'm just put user in timeout. There we go. You're in timeout for dissing my home city. What else we got here? Scarvan S. Hunter, have you seen The Hunt for Red October? Another fantastic recommendation. Have seen it. I've seen all the Jack Ryan films. Fantastic. I love them all. And that one is great too. That's like, I feel like that one's so much different to any of the other ones too. And Jack Ryan isn't really like the main character of the film. I mean, he kind of is, but he's just kind of like doesn't take as much of the spotlight as he does in the other films. And I find a lot of people are surprised when they find out that is one of the Jack Ryan films. Tinkerbell11 says, well said, don't give other people the power to decide what you have to like or not. Yes, that is one of the things I try to champion on this channel as well. Again, as we touch on a lot, is the fact that I'm a 30-year-old, not 30, I'm 28. God, don't get that far ahead of yourself. I'm 28, I'm not 30 yet. I'm a 28-year-old guy who's essentially sitting here every day watching cartoons, writing about cartoons, talking about cartoons. And I just want to get that point across, is that it doesn't matter how old you are, you can enjoy these things, or where you're from or who you are. Just enjoy what you enjoy, and don't let other people, don't give the other people the power to decide what you have to like or not. Don't let other people decide what you like. Yeah, I like that. That's nice. Dio Shy Patterson says, what's your personal favourite Hanna-Barbera series? I have to go with the Flintstones. That is my favourite Hanna-Barbera series of all time. But I grew up watching all of them. The Jetsons, Top Cat, Yogi Bear, Speed Racer, Dastardly and Muttley, wacky races, not Speed Racer, Wacky Races, and all those shows. I grew up watching all of them. I love them. But the Flintstones is the one that I gravitated towards the most. Harry Palmtree. G'day, Harry Palmtree. Harry Palmtree's been around for a long time. I remember Harry Palmtree dropping into some of my very first live streams when I had probably like 10 subscribers or 100 subscribers. Thank you for joining me again. Have you watched any of the Marvel Netflix shows like Jessica Jones? I watched most of the early ones, first 2 seasons of Daredevil, first season of Jessica Jones, first season of Luke Cage, Iron Fist, Defenders. I went off them. I don't know. I got bored of them. They weren't keeping my interest. So I stopped watching after the Defenders. I found the Defenders really lackluster, and I think that's probably why I dropped off them all. But I really enjoyed the early ones. Really, really enjoyed them. Again, we've got that person who people were asking me to block from the chat because they were constantly recommending characters after I've asked multiple times. We've got that person asking questions again. I did give you one chance, and I said I'll give you a chance not to annoy other people. They can't help themselves, so they are going in a 300-second timeout. Okay? So when you're out from the timeout, please, I hope you learn your lesson this time. All right, they are in the timeout for now. We have got someone in here from Toronto, Canada, which is awesome. I've never been to Canada. I would love to go to Canada. Would absolutely love to go to Canada. James Gutter says, I went to Melbourne a bunch of times and it's such a fantastic area. Absolutely loved it. I love Melbourne. I love my city. And it's just such a beautiful city, such an artistic city. And it really is the best place in Australia, one of the best places in the world to be if you want to be artistic and creative and have people like really love the stuff you're doing. Our film industry is not great out here, but Melbourne's such an artistically, and I feel like having grown up in Melbourne is probably part of why I love art and filmmaking and whatever so much, is because I've grown up in a city and I've grown up in a place where it's people are so receptive to it, people embrace it, and people you're really encouraged to be artistic. I love Melbourne. Spiderus Prime asks, what do kangaroos taste like? I haven't eaten kangaroo myself. Yes, you can. For those who don't know, you can buy kangaroo meat here. People do like kangaroo. I've never eaten it myself, but I've heard that it's very tough, very gamey, maybe a little bit dirty. It's not something that I have wanted to taste myself. Luke 1296 says, no one in Australia eats kangaroo. I can guarantee you there are people who eat kangaroo. I have been to restaurants with kangaroo on the menu. I don't think it's not like a regular thing. Like we don't regularly eat kangaroo or buy kangaroo from a supermarket, but you can get kangaroo. People do eat it. VHS DVD Blu-ray Previews Australia says, will you answer my questions? I did. I answered one of your questions before or two. I'm trying to answer questions from people who I haven't answered questions for. Occasionally I will answer a couple of people's questions once or twice, but I am trying to pick people who haven't asked 101 questions. But I will. You have said here, I love Melbourne too, and will you buy Red Dog on Blu-ray? I have Red Dog on Blu-ray. I don't have the second one though. Luke1296 says, I'm back. And by the way, I'm not from Sydney and I hate Sydney too. This is someone that just hates a lot of stuff, and that's not a good thing to have. You shouldn't just hate things. I want to know, where are you from though? Where are you from? I'll wait and see if he tells me where he's from, if he's in Australia or he says maybe eating kangaroo is a weird city thing. I think eating kangaroo is more like a bush thing. It's more of a delicacy out in out bush. But I think it might be like a weird delicacy as well. I've got old mate Rick telling me, as I said, old mate Rick is moderating on here. He's had kangaroo and he says it tastes a bit like beef. I am curious to know where this person who hates Melbourne and Sydney is from. He doesn't want to say. I'm assuming he's probably in Australia somewhere because he seems to know a lot about how many people eat kangaroo or whatever. He doesn't want to get tracked down. That's fine. I appreciate that. I don't want people to be targeted or anything. But I'm gonna assume you're in Australia somewhere. I don't know. But it's not nice to hate places. It's not nice. YouTube says kangaroo is really good. I love it. So there you go. Chris Malloy says, have you done the Fleischer Superman series? Yeah, I briefly touched on it in the Popeye video. I very, very briefly touched on it in the Betty Boop video. And I think I will... People have asked me to do a Superman video at some point. Maybe I will, and I probably will take the angle of that Fleischer cartoon. People are asking to see my t-shirt. There it is. That's all, folks. There you go. I'm Derek says Tony Stark. There's people asking here whether JB Hi-Fi ships to America, and yes, they do. Why doesn't JB Hi-Fi ship to the US? I'm sure they do. Unless they've stopped recently. We've got more people in here saying, I have eaten kangaroo but didn't like it. This Tinkerbell or Tinkerbell 11, our canteen had it when we had some scandals with other meat here. Oh, was that, if you're from the UK, was that when you had like horse meat? Oh, yikes. Yeah, they were selling horse meat and kangaroo as beef over in the UK for a while. Weird. Blankness, I don't hate Australia or its animals. I just want to give you a few warnings because there are dangers everywhere. Please remember that koala thing. Yes, this person said you can get an STD from a koala if it urinates on you. I know a lot of koalas have chlamydia. It's like rampant in the koala community is chlamydia. So I don't know. I don't know if it can transfer from koala to human, but probably. I don't know. Scarmaness Hunter, have you heard of Pixar fan 8695? He's an amazing creator who makes Luxo Junior shorts himself. His recent one is called A Burnout. Don't know if the name rings a bell, but I'm not sure if I have. I'm going to have a quick look. No, I haven't. This looks interesting. I will check that out later, though. For sure. That looks quite cool. Thomas Lover Toys and More. I love your videos. What is your first ever? My first ever video was like a little review on a couple of Disney Infinity figures. I think it was the Baloo one was my first one, and then I did like a couple of the Marvel ones. Awful videos. I'm considering going back and like doing commentaries on them or something at some point. Terrible videos. I'm just scrolling through, so I'm just reading comments and stuff. It's hard. It's so hard. I know I know there's so many that I haven't gotten to. Armien E Bonito. This is from ages ago. Hi Dave, are you a fan of Darkwing Duck? Yes, I love that series as a kid. It was one of my favorite shows. What a great character. Mr. Big Shot Kicker says, would you review the Censored 11? Maybe. These are the Censored 11. If you don't know, they are the 11 big Warner Brothers shorts that have been censored or were banned over time. I don't like to... I like to think that my series has no holds barred, and I like to try not to brush over or whitewash any controversies or... This Betty Boop one especially touches on race issues. It touches on issues of sexuality. It touches on violence, censorship, all that kind of stuff. And I don't like whitewashing over that. I like to be able to present it as it is and trying to have like an unbiased kind of view on these things, trying to view them as a product of their time, but also assessing the, I guess, the problematic nature of those shorts, not only in today's society but in society back then, because a lot of these things, like if you look at like I guess the racist cartoons or whatever, they were not okay back in the time. I mean, even if it was jokes or depictions of races that were probably more commonly considered, I guess, what's the word I'm looking for? They were more, I guess, it's still wrong, but it was more common to see it in culture, and I feel like people didn't see it as wrong as it is, but it still was right, if that makes sense. Like, these things have never been right. Racism and stuff in cartoons and stuff, you look back and you go, geez, how was that ever a thing that was acceptable? That's the word I'm looking for. I think it was like, some of this stuff was more culturally acceptable, but it doesn't mean it was right, and it never has been right. So will I ever cover the Censored 11? I don't know if I would ever be game enough to tackle a video specifically on racial issues. I feel like there would be I don't know. I don't know how well it would be received, but if I found a way to do it, I don't know, people might be interested in it. Let me know if that's something you would be interested in at some point, because I'm not sure. Jonathan says, have you heard of Dead to Me on Netflix? It's so good. Dead to Me on Netflix, absolutely. I love it. I have got season 2 in my hot little hands right now. It's not on Netflix until I think like early next month, like the first week, the 6th or something. I've got the second season in my hot little hands. Netflix has sent it over to me. I will be reviewing the second season of that, I think. Let me just check my calendar. On the 4th of next month, I'm allowed to. My embargo drops on season 2 of Dead to Me. So, yeah, absolutely. Love it. Great show. Talk about cinema. Have you seen any of Buster Keaton's films? Yes, I have the first 2 box sets that. I have the first 2 box sets that Eureka Video put out for Buster Keaton films. They're fantastic, and his movies are just great. If there are people out there who don't know Buster Keaton, one of the pioneers of silent cinema, really fantastic, just great silent comedy. And that's my favorite kind of comedy. I think the comedy that you can express without talking, without dialogue. It's just all physical movements and visual storytelling. And these are the Buster Keatons, the Charlie Chaplins, who were so famous because they could appeal to wider audiences because they weren't in English. So they had a big European following or Asian following, because it's that physical humor that we can all relate to, and that's that visual dialogue is this one thing that humanity, no matter where you are from, can relate to and can understand. And that's why I love a lot of those early Buster Keaton films, Charlie Chaplin films. Yeah, absolutely. That Eureka's just put out a third Buster Keaton set I need to get. I'll pick that up at some point. Luke 1296 says, have you seen Song of the South? It's funny how Disney tries to pretend it doesn't exist, yet they make theme park rides about it. Yeah, I've always found that's really weird. That they made that one of their biggest theme parks is based on Song of the South. I have seen the film. It's not a very good movie. It's not worth all the hype. I think it's a film that shouldn't be. I feel like Disney should release it officially. I feel like it's a movie that shouldn't be forgotten, because it is, again, it's an important talking point, especially if we're looking at it historically, or from a historical point of view. It's an important movie because it does deal with those racial issues in a very bad way. And even if Walt Disney's intention with the film was good, the depictions of the characters in the film are not, and that's why they're trying to brush it under the rug. I think it's a very important movie to see, again, from that academic, that historical point of view, to understand how media was back then, why it was that way, and what we can learn from it, how we can do things differently. And I think Disney just completely blacklisting the film and not putting it out there is the wrong way to do it. There needs to be a conversation around it. And then this film, right now, at this point in time, is the best way to get this film out there. Again, I think, to have these conversations around it. Absolutely. But again, it's not a very good movie. It's not a very good movie. All the controversy, everything else aside, it's not a very good film. The animated segments are fantastic, but it's not a very good movie. Matt Hunter said, I actually lost a friend once over defending Pepe Le Pew. She was a feminist and thought Pepe was sexist. Well, yeah, I guess. Yeah, there's a lot of sexism in those old cartoons, and we will touch on this very heavily in the Betty Boop ones. But there's so much rampant sexism, racism, everything in these older cartoons. And again, it's stuff you look at now and you go, holy, what? How is this a popular thing? But it's okay to like these things and appreciate them in a historical context. I think it's mean to lose a friend over Pepe Le Pew for being sexist or whatever. These things need to be appreciated in their historical context. And again, by saying that, it doesn't mean these things were right then. It just means they came from a different time. And if we can appreciate them through the lens of an audience from a different time, it's okay to appreciate some of these things, as long as we know that's wrong, it's wrong now, it was wrong then. We have to have a very critical way of viewing these things. Elvin Marcy says, I just picked up the new Eureka set that came out limited to 3,000 units. That's why I need to jump on it, I think. It's going to cost me about $60 for 3 movies. $20 a film. I think that's good. I've got some good super chats that have come in today. I might put your fantastic efforts to me towards something that will grow the channel. We'll think of putting it towards maybe something. Well, I'm not sure. I will pick it up soon though, I think. Someone says their classmate bullied them because he likes Pepe Le Pew. That's not nice. Again, bullying's not nice at all, and you shouldn't be bullied for something that you like that someone else doesn't like. Did I ever watch Pink in the Brain? Connor Jerome asked. Yes, I did watch that. I loved that show as well. I loved all those like Animaniacs, Pink in the Brain from that era. They were really great shows. It's coming up at 11:15. I've been on here for, what is this, 2 hours and 15 minutes. I have a lot of work to do. My voice is getting scratchy. I'm going to probably stay on here for maybe 15 more minutes. We'll take it till 11:30 and then we're going to jump off. So again, if you have any really important questions you want answered, fire away down in the super chat. I will see all those questions. I will answer all those questions. Otherwise, keep on going in the chat. I'm going to go up quite a fair way in the chat because there's a lot of stuff in here that I have neglected. I'm just going to scroll through and just answer whatever takes my fancy. Otherwise, I've got 15 minutes now to get in any super chats or whatever if you want your question absolutely 100% seen and answered. The Lit Dab 17. What is the worst version of Looney Tunes? There have been so many versions of Looney Tunes out there, and so many people have different opinions on what the worst version is, and whether that's Space Jam, which is something that I love because I grew up with it. I understand the problematic nature of it because the characters just aren't themselves, but I love it because I grew up with it. Like the Looney Tunes show, New Looney Tunes. I won't necessarily say these are the worst versions, but they may be far away from the versions in the classic cartoons. I think there's always room to move, to breathe with cartoons, with famous characters. There's always ways to bring them into the new like modern society, modern pop culture, refresh them, make them different. So I don't think I'd say there is a worst version. There's just different versions. And throughout history, we've had stories which have been told thousands of times over hundreds of years, told different ways. And to have characters like the Looney Tunes span, all these generations and in different ways, told in different ways, different characterizations, I think I have no problem with that at all. We've got a question from Tony Stark. Says, hey Dave, have you seen Sinbad Legend of the Seven Seas? I don't know if I've seen it. I can't remember if I've seen it. I don't think I've seen it. But I did buy it recently. It was in my animation haul video that I did recently. I bought a lot of the old DreamWorks films. and that's one that I can't remember if I ever watched. I don't think I did. I'm sure if I had watched it, I would have some kind of memory of having seen it. Talk About Cinema says favorite Beatles album. Now this is a hard one. I'm a huge Beatles fan. Old mate Rick is a huge Beatles fan, so his influence on the Beatles rubbed off on me since I was a kid. Obviously, my favorite Beatles album would probably be Abbey Road. I think that's the one that I always gravitate towards the most. What I love about Abbey Road is how experimental it is, and there's that. I thought I heard someone talking. Thought it might be an old mate Rick. I think it's someone outside. What I love about Abbey Road is that experimentality of it. It's at the very end of their career, like one of the last albums they recorded, the last album they recorded, and it's just the super group at the heart of their career, just before they're about to take their final bow, and just experimenting, and just going back and even stripping back to basics, and just a really rocky album. What I love in that album is the what do they call it? Like that long take, that big that second side, which is essentially one long song. It's a bunch of songs like stitched into one song, and I think that is amazing. Just the way they blended all the songs in together. Incredible album. Again, Abbey Road. Old mate Rick's favorite is Let It Be. That's his favorite album. Again, that was one of those final albums that they recorded. And that one's like this real stripped back, really grungy thing. They weren't really getting along at the time, but they were all just pulling together and making really amazing raw music. Incredible album, really rock. The thing is, the Beatles, they put out so many amazing albums. How many albums did they put out? Talking about like the British albums, not the US ones. 11 studio albums, 13 EPs, 22 singles, and their history, the Beatles, spanned 7 years. It spanned like 7 years, and they were so prolific, and they wrote so many amazing albums, so many amazing songs, and they're all so different. And every single one of their albums is so different. You've got like the pop stuff from the beginning of their career. You go through the really experimental, drug-infused stuff, the really rocky stuff, the really experimental stuff at the end. And everything's so different. And this is in the span of like 7 years. And these really young guys in like their early to late 20s, 30s, creating these incredible music. And when you think about it, the amount of just incredible music these guys put out in such a short amount of time, and how they revolutionized music and how they influenced music going forward, is just incredible to me. But to me, Abbey Road is my favorite Beatles album of the lot, but I love them all. That critic asks, will you archive this stream? Yes, I archive all of my streams, so this one will be archived on the channel. It takes a while to archive, maybe a few hours, but it will be up there. That critic says that 7 years the Beatles is not including the Quarrymen era, which is like the Beatles band pre-Beatles. Of course not. They were together. They had a band before the Beatles. But what I'm talking about is like their creative output of material over those 7 years is just astounding. Incredibly astounding. Braden Dukes Rankmore asks, hi Dave Lee Down Under, how are you doing today? I'm doing very well, thank you. It's coming up at 11:30. Been on here for 2.5 hours now. I've got work to do. But yes, thanks so much. Medley. Talk About Cinema says, yeah, the Abbey Road medley is awesome. That's the word I was looking for, the medley. Incredible. VHS, DVD, Blu-ray Previews Australia. There are Blue Sky movies you need, like Rio 2, Horton Hears a Who, and Epic. Yes, I'm just waiting to get them for like good prices. They seem quite expensive. Mibbit Maker, what do you think of the Beatles cartoons? Early ones are dumb, but Yellow Submarine's wonderful. Yellow Submarine's a fantastic movie, and the TV series is a bit silly, but they're a bit of fun as well. Andrew Navarro says, will you do Casper on Halloween? I have announced the Casper the Friendly Ghost video for this year, but I will not say when it is. Andrew Baker says, do you have a Black Cauldron video? I haven't done a video on the Black Cauldron, but I will be doing a Disney Dark Age ranked this month. Hopefully, if I get my Betty Boop video done in good time, in enough time to allow me to make that video. I've just watched all the Dark Age films this past week, so I will be talking about Black Cauldron in there, but I will not. I don't and have no plans currently to do an individual video on the Black Cauldron. Again, there's that person who I put in timeout before for spamming the board, and I warned them, and I had just put them in timeout, and I said, please learn your lesson this time, and they are back. So they're in timeout again. Please. I'm just scrolling. Sorry, I go quiet sometimes because I'm scrolling through the thread. I'm just trying to pick out some questions that I haven't picked out. There's so many here. I'm gonna be on here for about 9 more minutes until 11:30. So I'm just taking a few more questions until then, because my throat's getting sore. I'm getting a little hungry, and I need to do a lot of work. I need to work on my Betty Boop video today. Everything keeps pulling me away from it. Okay, Tori10. What advice would you give to somebody who would like to do a YouTube videos like Blu-ray hunting and how to get started? That's a good question. The best way to get started on YouTube is to just get started. Just get started. Just do it. Just jump in. Like, it's how I started. Just started making videos and just putting them up. And just if you have an idea for a video, just do it. Stop putting it off. I know so many people. I talk to a lot of people who say, I really like to do this. I've been thinking about doing this. I don't know when to do it or how to do it, or just forget about all those things. Take all those questions out of your head. How do I do it? When do I do it? What do I just do? If you have an idea, just do it. There's no time like right now to just do. Now, I wish I could have got into the YouTube game 10 years ago, where the kind of stuff that I'm doing now was really like at its peak. And you know, I had people doing what I'm doing with like huge followings and stuff. Had I got in then I kind of feel like, God, what would my subscriber be now? But I feel like I got in at a good time. I got started. I just went, you know what? Whatever. I didn't get in there. There's no time like the present. Just jump in. Just do it. Use whatever you have to film. Again, if you've got like a little camera like this, that's all I use when I'm filming like my Blu-ray videos or little vlogs or whatever. That's all I need. I don't need anything fancy. Or use your phone. Like, phones now have great cameras in them. They do HD, 4K, whatever. Just grab whatever you've got and just film. If you want to write something, just write it. Don't think about it. Just do it. That's my bit of advice. Just do it. Just do it. Do it. Shia LaBeouf. Ryan's Treasures says, have you ever met any Disney legends? I haven't, sadly. I would love to meet a Disney legend. I haven't. Let me think. I don't know if I've... I'm going to double check if he's a legend. I don't think he is, though. But he will be one day. Don't believe he is. He is a Disney legend. I have met a Disney legend. There we go. Glenn Keane. I have met Glenn Keane. I wasn't sure if he'd been inducted as a legend yet, but he was inducted in 2013. I have met Glenn Keane, amazing guy. Came out to Australia for like a exhibition they did at the Australian Centre for the Moving Image in Melbourne. They did like a huge Disney exhibition with all the Disney artwork, old cells and stuff from like Walt era to modern day. And Glenn Keane came out with Roy Conley, who's a producer at the studio, and Lella F. Smith, who is Dave Smith's partner, I believe. They run the Disney archives. So all them came out. They did a great talk. I saw their talk, and then at the end they did a meet and greet. So I have met Glenn Keane, great guy. Give me a second. We're allowed to get one book signed by each person. So I've got this right here, and I had to find it. Glenn Keane was saying, but Glenn Keane was basically offering a signature and a small sketch, and you could pick any of his like main characters that he designed, whether that be Ariel or the Beast or Tarzan, etc., etc. People were asking for all their favorite characters. Mine was, at that time, I had really only just got like majorly into the Disney films, and Beauty and the Beast was the one that really sparked a deep love for the films for me. So I had to ask for, of course, the Beast. And everyone was getting little tiny sketches in their books, but Glenn Keane loved this book so much that he did like a massive one right there. To Dave Beast wishes, Glenn Keane. Of course, Glenn Keane, animator, character animator, designed the Beast. And this side here is signed by Jeffrey Katzenberg, actually. I had that signed when Jeffrey Katzenberg came out for a DreamWorks thing. I don't know if I've got any other autographs in this book. Maybe the back. I don't think so. I don't know who else would have signed this. No. So I've got Glenn Keane, and I have a few other signed books, but I wasn't sure if there were any more in here. No, it's just Glenn Keane and Jeffrey Katzenberg in that one. But yes, there you go. You've made me realise something. I've met a Disney legend. Spiderus Prime says, did you hear of Diamond Bolt? No, I don't believe I've heard of Diamond Bolt. I'm going to look it up. Oh, he's a YouTuber, is he? I don't know. I haven't heard of him. I've not heard of him. Australian YouTuber. TV and video games. Well, there you go. Very cool. Someone asking, Thomas Lover Toys and More asked about me doing an evolution of Thomas the Tank Engine and Friends. That will never happen. I'm sorry, that will never happen. I get a few people asking about Thomas the Tank Engine. It confuses me because he's not a cartoon character. He's a little toy train. I guess his current cartoons are like CG animated, but his current shows are CG animated. But I'm sorry, I will never do Thomas the Tank. Jackson H. Hey Dave, loving the latest vids. Do you own any anime movies or have a favourite? I don't. I think I even own any. A few people asked about anime earlier, but I don't actually think I own any. I need to get some of the Studio Ghibli ones. I need to get Perfect Blue is one that I keep getting told is amazing, and that's like a big inspiration. One of my favourite movies, which is Black Swan. Tony Stark, will you get Jaws on 4K? Yes, I will. I'll probably just get the local edition, the one in the US. I'd love to have like the box set version, special edition, limited edition one, but the booklet that it comes with is the same booklet that came out in the original Blu-ray digipack thing. So I don't want to spend more money than I need to. I'll just buy it locally. I have that special edition of Jaws. I probably don't need another one. Josh P says, do you think they should release Mulan as a pay-per-view like Trolls World Tour? Don't think so. I think I don't think it's a good way to go to release all these big movies straight to home. It will absolutely kill the cinema industry, and we don't want that. We don't want the movie industry destroyed by all these movies going straight to home media. I think, or straight to pay-per-view or straight to streaming. I mean, I understand Disney putting Artemis Fowl on there because that movie's going to tank at the box office anyway. Trolls World Tour, Scoob. I kind of understand why they're going straight to streaming. I mean, they got to get to all these kids are at home at the moment, and you got to give people something, and I kind of understand that. But if you start dropping big things like Mulan, Black Widow, Wonder Woman, Venom 2, whatever, if you start dropping all these on streaming, it's going to set a really, really bad precedent. Of course, we've got Onward is on Disney Plus. That's fine. That was in theaters already, so I admire that, them giving that to you, because that didn't get to complete its theatrical run. So they gave people a chance to buy that or stream that, get a little money out of, make a little bit more off that back end cinema run that they would have made money on. Look, guys, it's 11:30. I will take 5 more questions. I will take 5 more questions. Then I got to go. I got work to do. I'm hungry, and my throat's killing me. And I need a little bit of water left. I'm going to take 5 more questions. Again, if you have a question that you absolutely want answered, the best way to do it is a super chat down there. Otherwise, I'm just going to pick 5 random questions from the chat. If you've got something you desperately want answered in these last 5 questions, super chat is the way to go. But otherwise, I'm just going to go through this chat. I'm going to pull out some random things. We've got 5 more, and then I'm jumping out of here until next time. Okay, so what are we going to ask? What we're going to answer. Tony Stark asks, when's your next giveaway? If I may ask. I'm not sure. My giveaways are dictated by the studios or the PR agencies that I deal with. So most of the giveaways that I do, it's like I've been maybe sent a Blu-ray to review, and they say we have 2 of these that you can give away, and I will run the giveaway. And it's not for every single title that I review, it's just for some of them. So I don't dictate when the giveaways get done, but I don't know if there'll be one anytime soon, because what do you call it? The warehouse that they ship all the prizes from over in the States is closed due to the lockdown. I'm trying to deal with a couple of distributors here in Australia to do some giveaways. Having a little trouble at the moment, but we're trying to pull something together. I'm always up for giving a little bit back to the community. I love doing the giveaways. We do have a super chat here. Ian Jones, are you ever going to do an evolution on Wile E. Coyote and the Roadrunner? Thank you for your very generous super chat right here. I really appreciate it. Will I do one? Absolutely. I will be doing one this year, because this year is an anniversary year for the pair. I can't say when I'm going to do it, but I will be doing it by the end of the year. Absolutely. They will probably... Let me just have a little sneaky peek at my Cartoon Evolution schedule. They will be... Where is it? He's trying to sneak peek there. They will be the next Looney Tunes that I cover in the series. All right, we've got 3 more questions. I'm taking 3 more questions here. Again, thanks again to Ian Jones for the super chat there. If you do want one of the last 3 spots, I will. Super chats is the way to absolutely get yours picked. If not, I'm scrolling pretty far up the chat to try and get to some that I have neglected. Johanna A says, have you seen or do you like any of the films from Leica Studios? Of course I've heard of them. I own most of their movies except for Kubo. I'm not sure what I have watched. I'm just going to have a look at like a list of their films. My nose is so itchy, don't know why. Coraline I've watched a long time ago, really enjoyed it. I don't think I've watched any of the others. Paranorman, I don't believe I've watched, or the Box Trolls. Missing Link is apparently amazing. I haven't seen that yet either. But yeah, I do have to start watching a lot more of these animated films I've neglected over the years. 2 more questions now. Again, if you want to be guaranteed to get one, Super Chat's the best way. Otherwise, I'm just randomly picking from up the top here. Gary Liderment is a follower who's been around for quite a while. Thanks so much for stopping by, Gary. He asked, what is my favourite Australian film? My favourite, I love Australian cinema. We have made some really, really great films in Australia. We don't make too many that often. I feel like especially now, we don't have much of a film industry anymore. But my favourite Australian film of all time, I have 2. One is Two Hands, which was one of, if not, Heath Ledger's first film. Absolutely brilliant film. Heath Ledger, Rose Byrne, one of Rose Byrne's first films too. She's very, very young in it. They're both very young. Brian Brown is in it as well. Great film, great what do you call it? Like gangster. It's almost like a Martin Scorsese, Australian Martin Scorsese film. Brilliant, brilliant film. I love it so much. And second of all is one called Lantana. Beautiful movie, and it's not on Blu-ray yet. And I'm dying to get that. They need to put that one on Blu-ray. Who was in that? There's a heap of people in that. I think Anthony LaPaglia was in it. Claudia Carvin, I believe, was in it. Kerry Armstrong. Jeffrey Rush is in it. Barbara Hershey is in it, American actress. Really great film with a really, really great cast. And I think even Vince Colosimo's in it. Glenn Robbins is in it. Peter Phelps, great film. If you can get your hands on Lantana, please, because I feel like it's one that has gone under the radar, especially in more recent years. Mivet Maker, this is not the last question, but they say, thanks for the chat. It's always great for the classics in animation to have a place in YouTube, especially Jones Avery Clampett for me for video essays. Thank you so much. I'm so happy that people are embracing my videos and all that. We're going to take one more question right now from the feed, unless I get like a last minute super chat, but otherwise I am just going to roll through. I'm going to pick a question that is going to be the last question of the day. So last chance for any super chat, otherwise we will just pick one randomly here. Trying to find ones that I haven't answered, or ones from people who haven't had questions I answered yet. See, like I said, a lot of the same questions. I see a lot of questions from the same people. We've got one from Tori10. Have you double purchased a movie accidentally? I'm trying to think. I think we have at least once. I can't remember what it was. I'm sure old mate Rick has done it by accident, and then he's brought it home and said, "What have you bought this for? We already have it." I think I have a pretty good memory of what we have, but I may have done it before. I know I have multiple copies of some movies, either purposely or just for some reason I have two of them. But I can only think of one time where old mate Rick accidentally bought one that I said, we already have it. What have you bought this for? But what we do now is we have this app. It's called CLZ Movies, and we can keep a list of all the movies that we have. It's on my phone. It's on old mate Rick's phone, so that no one has any excuse to double purchase a movie. So, for example, say we were at JB Hi-Fi and we saw Two Hands on the shelf. Went, oh, do we own Two Hands on Blu-ray? We just type it, or do we own Two Hands at all? We type in Two Hands, click enter, and there we go. Two Hands is in the collection. So there's really no reason for myself or old mate Rick to double purchase. That's such a great way to do that. Look, guys, I am going to close off right now. Again, have lots of work to do. I have to eat. My throat's going to go. And I really appreciate everyone for sending in questions. I really appreciate the super chats. Lots of very generous super chats came in today. And I really, really, really appreciate that. Again, I don't like to really ask for that stuff. I don't like to ask for money. Don't like to ask for any of that. But I do really appreciate you guys sending in just a little bit to give back and whatever. I really appreciate everyone's support. The way everyone has. Look, I know I get a little bit annoyed sometimes if people are like constantly suggesting characters or suggesting the same characters over and over and over again or whatever, but I do appreciate and I do love the support and the passion that you guys do have for the stuff that I'm creating. And if it wasn't for you guys, I wouldn't be creating. I would have stopped a very long time ago. So I really appreciate all of that. And once again, I'm still getting people Will you do Rocky and Bullwinkle? Will you do Alvin and the Chipmunks? Will you do this? Again, absolutely any like big major character you can ever think of will be done eventually. So once again, thanks so much. I'm getting people to love your channel, Dave. Thanks for what you do. Thanks, Tori. Really appreciate it. Keep up the good work from Blankness. Thank you so much. Tinkerbell, thank you very much, Dave. It was nice talking to you. People saying thanks for the stream. Ryan's Treasures, Joanna A. Thank you all. Thank you everybody who's in the stream, who came, who either joined for 5 minutes, joined for the whole 2.5 hours, joined for, came in and out, whatever. Thank you so much for joining me. I really, really appreciate it. And I got to go now. So thanks again. Take it easy. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, wherever you are in the world. And I will see you on another live chat. These are going really well. And I think I'll be doing more of these going forward. So thanks so much. See you on the next one. Take it easy.